Yeah.
It's a brand new day.
Yeah.
It's a brand new John.
Yeah.
Married man John is here. Achievement unlocked.
So I listened to last week's episode. Apparently we got some beef, dude.
Why? What's up?
You bad-mouthing my cookies and my pizza for my wedding? What the fuck, man?
Okay. All right. Okay. Did you make those cookies?
No, but friends did.
Okay.
And they were good.
Okay.
And the types of cookies were my request.
You know what? I'm not a big fan of sweets. And as far as the pizza went, I think I did the opposite of badmouth your pizza on the last one.
You didn't badmouth the pizza specifically, but you badmouthed the fact that there was pizza in front of you and you felt you had to eat it all.
Okay, yeah, that's legit.
I'm just giving you crap.
No.
By the way, I'm not.
No, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'm totally giving you crap because,
I
just thought it was hilarious because it was like, looks like they're going to talk about the wedding. It's like, so John and Amanda got married, but anyways, this pizza and these cookies, fuck that. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, literally talked like one sentence about me and Amanda, and the rest of the time was cookies and pizza.
Yeah. I got that. I got barrel number 1 from Amanda about this earlier in the week.
Okay.
But I didn't want to air your beeswax if you didn't want it. But I thought it would be nice to say.
Like I said, I figure what the heck, give you some shit over there.
There's never been. I'm not going here. I'm not going in direction. But like over the years, having a thing where when I eat pizza, I always eat too much and it makes me violently ill.
Yeah.
Has caused just no end of problems. Like my parents come into town and they're just like, "Hey, let's all go to this nice pizza restaurant." I'm just like, "Can we go to like an Italian restaurant? Or
can we go to some other type of restaurant that's not pizza related?
A Chinese restaurant?" But congratulations!
Yes, Amanda and I got married.
Yeah,
we got married. We are legally bound together.
It's
been good.
Did you step on a glass?
No. We went to a courthouse.
I said I would lift you guys up on the chair, but there
were no chairs there.
There
were benches.
Oh, well, we lift you up on a bench. That's fine.
Might need a little help with that.
Well, yeah. I mean, there were a lot of people there. Randy could have helped. Michael could have helped. Matt Frank's full of wiry energy. He probably could have done it.
He is. But yeah, no, we got married. It was good. It was like a good weekend. Like we got married on Friday. We went to the courthouse. We had family with us. We got a bunch of pictures taken with a photographer who was also a friend of mine. Also a former podcast buddy, Rod Nunley, did some really good photos, which we've only gotten some of so far. But and then afterwards we went and celebrated by going to get pizza at Pine House Pizza and invited a bunch of friends, and they all showed up, and like one group of friends showed up with cookies that they had made us, which they told us ahead of time that was going to be their like wedding gift to us, is they were going to make us cookies. And they asked what we wanted, and Amanda was like, "Well, I don't really eat cookies." So John, whatever types, is like, "Does there need to be more than one?" She's like, "Yeah, give them 2 types of cookies to make." I was like, chocolate chip cookie and sugar cookies.
Okay.
And they're like,
no snickerdoodles, no oatmeal raisin.
But it was awesome because the sugar cookies were designed to look like pizzas.
Yes,
and those were awesome.
Are you one of those people that like that's got no love for oatmeal raisin?
I don't like raisins.
Okay, that's fair. I
like oatmeal. Like I fucking love oatmeal cookies, but just with raisins, no.
I feel like every so often I run into somebody who doesn't like oatmeal raisin cookies, and I feel like there's people who get so militant about the existence of certain types of food. It's like when you run into the occasional person who's just like, pineapple on a pizza, you go to hell, you fucking die for your beliefs. And I'm just like, I don't care that much, but I'll eat it if it's there. Like sweet and savory. Come on, I didn't invent it.
Yeah, no, I jokingly have told someone that when they knew I was joking, and then someone else went in on and like joined my side. I was like, whoa, I'm just fucking around. He can eat whatever the fuck he wants to eat as long as I'm not forced to eat it.
I feel like the people who don't like Hawaiian pizza, they've all just got like a pitchfork like behind glass. They're just waiting for anybody to be
it's the internet age where everyone decides that there's something they don't like or something that's an abomination, and they go overboard with it, like cargo shorts on guys. Like there's that whole time where like guys can't wear cargo shorts, it's against the law, and it's like, what? Fuck yourself.
That was part of like me and the internet. We had a very bitter fight that week because I was like, internet, I just switched from jorts, which everybody has decided are bad for some reason. I still don't know what the reason is.
You blame John Cena.
I don't even hate John Cena, but like I finally switched from jorts to cargo shorts, and now you're just like, cargo shorts are out. Wear cloth pants with no pockets on the sides. And I'm just like, you know what? Eat all my dicks. Eat all of them. No,
Yeah.
I'm going to wear whatever the fuck I want to.
People wear wherever you want. Eat whatever you want. If you want to eat ice cream with ketchup in it and you dip fish sticks in it or whatever, fucking do it. I don't care.
Yep.
Eat whatever you like.
Don't ever let anybody tell you what you can eat and what you can't eat. Eat what you want to eat.
Wear whatever you want to wear.
Wear what you want to wear.
So that's all I care about.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we had good, like a lot of friends, a lot of people came out, and I felt like I was kind of all over the place at Pine House Pizza. I ate half of a slice of pizza.
Boo.
And then some server took my plate.
Boo.
Because I wasn't sitting in front of it.
Boo.
But I ate a shit ton of cookies.
Okay.
But that kind of sucked. I ate like half a slice of pizza, and I was just literally all over the place that day. And it was actually kind of funny because before we went to Pine House, because we were a little bit early, we wanted to kill time. We went to a comic shop, which is right around the corner from Pine House Pizza, which is Austin Books.
Okay.
And then like a bunch of my friends who were there found out like at Pine House find out that we went to Austin Books first. And they're like, wait, so you got married.
Yep.
Then you went to a comic shop.
Yep.
Then you came to eat pizza.
Sounds like a fucking groovy Friday afternoon to me.
That's the most John thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'm like, I didn't plan this.
Later, we're going to go see a ska band.
Oh, man, if only. If only.
Well, that sounds absolutely 100% lovely.
Yeah, and then spent Saturday relaxing, and then Sunday drove to Houston to do the whole thing over again with family. Mm-hmm. No wedding, but just celebrating with family, and then drove back Sunday night, relaxed on Monday, had to go to work on Tuesday, and then had 4th of July off and watched NCIS all day.
Okay. Well, I'll ask you a question, though, because there's one thing I want to talk about this week before we get into the news. Did you watch Glow Season 2?
I have not.
No!
Because Amanda we haven't been home in
Oh, okay. I guess I thought that when you guys were off that you would have, it's not very long. It's like 10, 30-minute episodes.
No,
like
it's not, but it's just one of those things where like literally Monday we slept.
Yeah.
Because we were exhausted.
I could see that.
Also, actually on Monday also we had to go get our car serviced because the change oil light came on and which we knew we had to do soon anyways.
Yeah.
So we went and took care of that, and that took like 3 or 4 hours. And
okay.
Like it was just we just haven't had a chance to sit down. And like also Amanda and I are doing this whole countdown of horror movies to Halloween. Mm-hmm. It's like 125 movies or 150 movies. I can't remember which one it is that we decided to do.
Yeah.
So we have to watch a horror movie every day. So that leaves less time to watch anything else. Like last night we watched The Ritual. Okay. Which was pretty good. The night before that we watched Cat People.
I've not ever seen Cat People. Which is a
Val Lewton old black and white film.
Yeah. Oh wait, the original.
Yeah, the original.
Because there's like a remake in
there's a remake.
70s, right?
Yeah, no, there was a remake, but I'm talking about the original.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we watched the original, and I'd never seen it either, and it was really good. I liked it. It was pretty good.
Well, I am happy to announce, with no spoilers, that if you liked Glow Season 1, Glow Season 2, just as good, if not better.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it was really, really good. And it was funny because after I finished it, I rewatched the documentary, the one that's on Netflix, the actual Glow documentary.
Yeah, we have that on DVD.
And it's interesting to see the parallels between the actual people and the characters in the show. But yeah, it was good. And you know what? It was nice just to watch okay, here's how I know that even though I thought Luke Cage Season 2 was better than like Luke Cage Season 1, that I still didn't think it was a very interesting TV show, because like I just stopped watching it because I just was like, I just couldn't be bothered. Glow Season 2, I was just like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen next? Like,
well, I remember Glow Season 1, we watched it and we're like, we'll watch another episode. We just kept watching it, and then we got to the end and we're like, did we just marathon through the entire series in one day?
Yep.
And it's still light outside? How long are these episodes? We actually thought they were longer episodes.
Yeah.
And we got totally, so I assume something similar like that will happen.
And it's also worth looking at, like, I don't know if it's just the fact that the guy is Orange is the New Black guy, the guy that made Weeds or whatever, Kenji, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing is just shot 100 times better than the Marvel shows. It started to irritate me in Luke Cage Season 2 of just like, shoot it better. Quit just shooting this as like center of the frame. Like everything is just no camera moves, center of the frame, boring, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, just kind of like Orange is the New Black. I feel like the first season of Glow kind of ropes you in with like the premise, and then the second
Well, I know
season.
the same writers for Orange is the New Black are doing Glow, so it's the same people.
Yeah. Where I feel like they rope you in with a really interesting concept in the first season, and by the end of the first season, you like all the characters so much that it's
You're
easy
along
to watch.
for the ride now.
Yeah. Because it was really, really good, and I really, really enjoyed it, and it was nice. Like Westworld season 2 just finished up, and
Still haven't seen season 1.
it's like like the Legion is out there. There's like the Handmaid's Tale, and I'm like, but what about the '80s show about the ladies that throw each other around the Razzling ring? Like, that's the show I want to watch. The 30-minute increment show that I can marathon in one day, as opposed to these super heavy, weighty, heady shows that take for fucking ever to do.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't watched Glow, I highly recommend it. Even if you're not a fan of wrestling, because it's kind of more of a character drama that just happens to take place inside of wrestling, but the wrestling parts are really good too.
Yeah.
Like they do a really good job of like, I think that I don't know if they've got to be using some kind of stunt people, but like there's pretty fair amount of times where Alison Brie gets flipped around and then just stands up and looks at the camera.
They actually do a lot of their own stunts.
Yeah.
That was actually apparently because I was in interviews that they did after the first season. They actually said that while there are some stunt people for some stuff, for the most part in the stuff in the ring is almost 100, if not 100% them.
Okay.
Like, because that was one of the things that they wanted to do. They wanted to keep the authenticity of the people in the ring or the people who are the actors, and they kind of had to go through the rigmarole of the training. And apparently they got like a lot of the male guys who are actual wrestlers who appeared in the first season were also the guys training them.
Oh, okay.
So that's why they also put them in like the brothers of Machu Picchu. That was Brodus Clay and Carlito, former WWE wrestlers. The guy who was the trainer was Johnny Mundo or John Morrison. If you don't watch.
I don't know either one of those names. You could have been like, his name is Milkshake
and then
Rabbit.
like in the first season when she goes to the wrestling show and she sees like the two guys fighting who are brothers or whatever. One of them is a guy named I forget his fucking name because he doesn't work and I never really liked him. But the other guy is famous dick wrestler Joey Ryan.
Which you have shown me.
And that's how you have to introduce him. He's famous dick wrestler Joey Ryan.
Dude wrestles with his dick, man.
Yeah,
and not the way that you think when I first say that sentence. Like he flips people
but he also
over.
does that as well. Probably.
I don't want to assume.
I mean, he's married, so he has a wife. He has a hot wife. You know.
Yeah, there's also it's really cool if you need a reason to watch season 2. Also, there is one episode of season 2 that is basically an episode of the show.
Oh, cool.
So instead of any behind the scenes, it's like you're watching an episode of Glow.
I know it was really cool that Shout Factory the day before the Thursday before it came out on Twitch streamed the original Glow.
Oh, cool.
With like interviews with some of the female wrestlers that were a part of it, and like the guy who ran it, essentially one of the announcers. Like they actually had so people could actually like watch some of the original show, and then the season 2 came out.
Okay, cool.
So I think they have broadcasts of that stuff still on. Before we get to the news, though,
yes,
can I bring up something real quick?
Sure.
So I got a Amazon Fire TV Cube.
Okay.
I mentioned this to you. So the cool thing about the Fire TV Cube is it has an Alexa built into it. So it's like a Echo and a Fire TV like merged into one.
Okay.
I played Skyrim Very Special Edition.
Oh yeah, how was it?
It's a text-based adventure game.
Okay.
Yeah, just spoken aloud. It's a lot more in depth than I was expecting.
Okay.
But
there was a story that actually asked for time where somebody got it working on like a smart toilet. Like there's some kind of like really super futuristic toilet that has like Wi-Fi access and some stuff built into it that apparently can also play Skyrim.
Yeah.
So your toilet...
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just text. It's literally just going, Alexa, play Skyrim, and then she'll say, you start in this place and you're at a fork in the road. Do you go to this village or do you go to this windmill? Go to windmill.
Right.
Okay, you go to the windmill. There's a there's a this there and it wants to fight you. What do you do?
Right.
Your options are attack it with weapon, attack with magic, or you shout.
Yeah.
And then
you just do that.
Yeah, you just do that over and over and over.
Did you play
again.
all the way through it?
No. I played it only for like about an hour, and then like I had to leave.
You were tired of talking to your.
Well, it's like I was waiting on Amanda to pick me up for dinner.
Yeah.
And because she had just gotten off of work, and because I did this on the 4th of July, like I was bored.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I gotta go. So let me shut this off and get the fuck out of here and tell Alexa to shut the fuck up.
Okay.
So
yeah, I had an Echo Dot, and then I unplugged it because I didn't use it and just kind of conceptually didn't like a thing listening to what I was saying.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant on that, but I really wanted something that I could, because my computer's been acting up lately, and I used to use a Steam Link to stream video from my computer.
Oh, okay.
Specifically, New Japan Pro Wrestling,
right?
Because it doesn't have an app on like the Xbox or the PS4, but it does have an app on Amazon Fire TV.
Okay.
So I was like, if I'm gonna get a Fire TV, why don't I just get the new thing that just came out?
Yeah.
And is also like an Alexa and see how that works. And I actually like it. It's funny because like I'll actually use it and Amanda just gives me these looks and then I'll be like, what? And she's like, I'm not talking to that fucking thing ever. I'm like, all right, well, that's cool, but look at all this cool stuff it can do. And like, she's like, all right, that's cool, but I'm not fucking talking to that thing ever. I'm like, all right.
I just still can't get past the idea that like for me, it's always been easier to just push 2 buttons than it is to be like,
oh no, I
will
say
this thing.
Yeah,
right?
no, I will say in the grand scheme of things, telling it Alexa open, like
Spotify,
I actually can't tell it to open New Japan Pro Wrestling because it doesn't understand what I'm telling it.
Right.
I have to actually like use the controller to get to that app. But like telling it, Alexa, launch Netflix, or Alexa, launch this movie through Netflix. So it can take a little bit longer than like I could. A lot of the time, it's less of it's faster to go through the controller,
right?
But it's more of a I don't feel like the controller's way over there, and I'm too lazy to go get it, and I'll fucking whatever. But also, there's some some things that you can't use the controller to do,
right?
Like they purposefully do that because the controller is like this minimalist, like there's no numbers on it. It's literally just a radial dial. It's really kind of. I actually hate the controller.
Okay.
But like if I don't want to watch TV, but I want to listen to music in the house, and just saying, Alexa, play Streetlight Manifesto,
right?
Like, which I tested it like on like what it would like understand to be music, because I was like, because sometimes if you say Alexa, play blank, and it's the title of a movie,
right, it'll
bring up what services the movie's available on and ask me what I want to play it on.
Yeah.
But if it's a band, like you gotta like, play MXPX, play Less Than Jake. I actually sat there like testing it, like what it would recognize.
Okay.
And surprisingly got a lot of it correct. I don't think I actually ran into a case where it misunderstood what I was asking.
Cool.
Plus, there's also stupid stuff like telling, asking Alexa to tell you a joke and she reads off some stupid joke. No one never going to actually use that for anything, but
yeah,
it tickles me that it's there.
Yeah.
And then there's also the Alexa, Shirley, you can't be serious. And she's I am very serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's for Jeff. I think I'm too curmudgeon. I think I'm too old. I think I'm too much of an old man.
I'm tickled by all of it. Like, I'm fascinated by I love new technology, and I am one of those few people that I've realized I understand that that sometimes that technology can take us down a really dark path because, for example, like you brought up earlier, this is a device that's listening to you at all times. There's even been reports of a couple that were having a conversation, never said Alexa. Apparently, at some point during the conversation, Alexa thought it heard its name, thought it wanted them to record a message and email it to somebody. Yep. So recorded an entire conversation between these two people and then mailed it to somebody random on their list.
Yeah.
And that's frightening.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy that something like that could happen. But for me, I'm kind of like, yeah, but it's the fucking future. The future is now.
I still think my favorite thing I've ever seen from Alexa is that one where the kid asks Alexa to like play Blue's Clues or something, and it just starts spouting all. It's like it's misunderstood the kid, and it's basically returning a huge text string of search results for pornography.
Oh,
and it's just
shit.
like, are you looking for ass, butt, titty sex, 19 years old, just got legal? And the parents are next to me like, no, Alexa, stop.
Is that like a spoof video or something?
No. It was just like this kid walks up to his Alexa and asks it for something really innocuous.
Oh, okay.
And it just starts reading off pornography to the kid.
I've never heard that one, but
It's really funny.
yeah, but also I don't know of any pornography on it. Like I don't know, like I've never ran into pornography on Amazon.
This just sounded like it got its wires crossed and was reading some kind of search results for pornography.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so it's like I'm like I said, in my head, it's less about the fact that I now have a listening device in my home.
Right.
That apparently it's also been proven that the FBI can apparently, if with a proper court order,
Use your Alexa
to listen to what you're doing. But then again, I don't do anything that causes the government to want to listen to me. I mean, I do a podcast. They don't even want to listen to that. So, why would they want to listen to me in my home?
Yeah.
But again, my brain can't get past like the future is now. They talk to computers in Star Trek. I'm talking to a computer and it's talking back. This is amazing. Like, and that literally doesn't go away. That enjoyment, that grin of future technology being in my hands is just there.
Okay.
I don't know. But like I said, I wanted to bring up that I played the Skyrim very special edition, and I found it to be way more enjoyable than playing Skyrim.
All right.
Fair
enough.
No, I'm
Take
joking.
that, Skyrim.
I'm joking.
Sack.
It's very novel. It's very dumb. But it's there.
Okay. Well, let's get into the news. We've just got a lot of weird news this week. I know I haven't actually said that in a few weeks, but this week it's strange. I literally had to go to different websites than the ones I normally trawl for news because there was so little. But first up, let's see. Last week, EA put up the full 20-minute kind of narrated E3 demo for Anthem.
Yeah. This is what they showed to people behind closed doors.
Pretty sure, yeah. It seems an awful lot like that, and it starts with the kind of mission givers in your big robot, kind of giving out this mission, and it kind of goes all the way through a mission, like with the 4 different people, and it just shows kind of the combat and traversal and stuff like that. I'm going to say a few things, right?
Say a few things. Sir.
John has actually not gotten a chance to see this footage yet.
It looks like I've seen clips.
Yeah, it's the stuff. A lot of it is the stuff they showed at the E3 press conference, but they should have shown this entire thing at the end. They should have done. They should
instead of having that Q&A.
Either instead of having the Q&A or in addition to having the Q&A, because it's fucking EA and they're on Twitch, right? Like, who gives a fuck if you stay open for like, it would have been an additional 10 minutes maybe of footage from what they had. Because I think this looks like, I had this really long conversation with Matt the other day on one of our dojos, and I've had it with you and I've had it with a lot of people that like, look, I know that EA is shitty. Like, I know they're shitty, right? They're a lot of times EA is a big fat shit bastard and they suck balls. But a game made by the good parts of BioWare that has like some dialogue trees and is like a Destiny style third person mech combat flying around shooting mutants and shit game, on paper, that list of qualifications could be good.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Like if Destiny's story had been a little bit more down to earth and a little bit less in the 14th century, the traveler emerged and now the light is under attack by,
Also, all of that's on the website, not in the game.
Right, all that bullshit, right? All that bullshit. BioWare generally doesn't put their shit on websites, right? They got big fat codexes in the thing that you can read all about the stuff. And like, if it's getting loot and it's doing stuff, like I watch this demo and I look at it and I'm wary. I'm not trying to tell people, hey, you know what? EA is a great company and you should believe everything, because last week Michael and I just got done going. The next story after this one is a story about how EA is crappy, right? But I think that this has the potential to be a good game, potentially.
Okay.
And the fact that it's the idea that I feel like I see so often, the description of just being like, oh, it's just Destiny in an Iron Man suit. And as I said a bunch of times before, that sounds like it could be really awesome if it's executed properly.
Yeah,
like
no,
there's
I agree.
nothing wrong with Destiny that couldn't be fixed by a game that's a little bit more focused on narrative. So, I don't know. You're seeing this footage right now, and I mean, I think that like if you had known that if this game was being published by a different publisher, like, close your eyes and imagine that this was a Square Enix published game that was made by, I don't know, like fucking Eidos Montreal or something like that. Like, I feel like it would be a good game, or I feel like you would at least be that people would just be like instantly ready to be like, and it's mostly just the fact that it's EA, which I'm not trying to say should not factor into your calculations, because EA has demonstrated that they care about money, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But then so do most of them, right? So does like
pretty much every company cares about money, and that's it.
I mean,
and
like,
it's not until they do something that pisses off the fans that they go, "Oh shit, we were totally wrong about that. Sorry." I would say every company, and every publisher, major publisher, I would say, very rarely has a
like altruistic, artistic intentions.
If it's not EA one year, then it's Activision the next year. Well, if it's not Activision, it's Ubisoft. If it's not Ubisoft, it's EA again.
It's like you've just described the entire next set of tabs and stories that we're going to talk about. I mean, like, I don't know if we even reported on it, but they said Activision said that Black Ops 4, like, you can't buy the season pass unless you buy the collector's edition.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, like, they're not going to sell the map pack separately. Like, you could only buy the season pass. Like, you can't, the season pass is like 3 pieces of DLC, and you can buy each one of them individually a la carte. Yeah. And they say that for Black Ops 4, you can only buy the season pass, which is like $40, or like the lowest version that comes with the season pass is $100 for the game.
Yeah,
and it's like, God damn,
but you
guys.
Can't buy the season pass by itself. Like, you can't buy the game and then 6 months later buy the season pass.
I don't know, because this was a few weeks back and I didn't talk about it then. But I think it's something along those lines. Either that, or you can't buy each individual piece of DLC separately. I'm sorry, I haven't had a chance to look that one up. But like, yeah, Activision's garbage, EA's garbage. Square Enix has proven, they fucked around with Deus Ex and Hitman real bad. Like, both of those games got fucking chopped up by Square Enix pretty bad. Like, Ubisoft is always pulling some horse shit or another. Not putting out Splinter Cell.
Also fighting off corporate takeovers.
That too. But anyway, all I'm saying is, you know what? If you've been even remotely on the fence about Anthem, it might not be a bad idea just to go watch this, because it honestly, it looks pretty good. And if you can just squint your eyes I want to say, wait for the game to come out and then see if the reports start coming in of just like, oh, it's just full of goddamn microtransactions and it's bad.
I pretty much already made the decision. Like, I'm not going to buy it when it comes out. I'm going to wait till you get it.
Yeah.
And what your opinions of it are. And even then, I'm not even going to like fully like jump in. I'm going to then get a couple of other people's opinions, and then, maybe.
Because, Jeff, you can't. Sometimes that guy, he's just real drunk. You can't trust what he's saying.
He likes Dark Souls.
He's fucking, he likes Dark Souls, man. What kind of person would do that? But then allow me to retort myself, because our next story is that at a presentation for investors at the Credit Suisse 21 Annual Technology Conference. Oh, in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Nice way of being French for Scottsdale, Arizona.
CFO Blake Jorgensen talked about the closure of Visceral Games. Allow me to quote, let's see. The studio was trying to build a game that really pushed gameplay to the next level, but Electronic Arts kept reviewing it, and it continued to look like a, quote, much more linear game that people don't like as much today as they did 5 or 10 years ago.
Go fuck yourself, EA.
Yep. And eventually they decided people don't like to play single-player narrative experiences, so we need to shut down Visceral and make sure that our Star Wars game has a bunch of multiplayer components in it. So, like, again, don't let my saying Anthem looks pretty cool preclude you from thinking that I'm like, EA's a bag of jackals dipped in feces. Like, they suck. They're terrible. And I hate that BioWare is owned by them. I wish BioWare was owned by, like, I don't know, Bill Murray, and it just lets them do whatever they want to. Like, I want him, I don't know. Like, I'd honestly rather BioWare was owned by Ubisoft, to be honest, than EA, because EA sucks so hard. And saying this, like last week, somebody wrote into the podcast and they were like, I'm afraid single player is dying. And I was like, no, allow me to read you all the games, the great games from last year. They're single player games.
So I don't think single player is dying, but I think you may be seeing less single player games from EA. and a few other companies.
Absolutely. But those companies were destined to be fucking shitlords.
And I feel like
anyway, like,
yeah, and I also feel like you're going to get less linear storytelling and more open world.
Did you hack into my computer and look at all of my tabs?
No, I don't
thought you said you haven't been reading the gaming news this week.
This is just my opinion. I haven't been reading the gaming news. I'm just saying, like, the writing has been on the wall for a while that not only is do some companies seem to think, which I don't even think they think that single player is dead. I think they want single player to be dead because multiplayer means they can charge they can get money for more maps for season passes that don't involve a story. That's what they're looking at.
Or loot boxes or cosmetic microtransactions. Well, it was before it was this. The last time that they did this shit was when MMOs were a thing and you could still ask somebody to pay a monthly charge for some kind of game service, and everybody wanted that shit. Everybody wanted you to buy your $60 game and then give them $10 a month forever.
Yeah.
And yes, as I said last week, and I will reiterate till the end of time, this is not the first time, and it's not the last time that fucking jackasses have been like, nobody wants to play single-player video games anymore, and then, like, as if on cue, the next single-player game that comes out does fucking gangbusters, like God of War, you know?
Yeah.
Like, as I said last week, Sony's entire press conference was single-player games. Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, well, who knows about Death Stranding, but Death Stranding, Spider-Man, not Sekiro, Ghost of Tsushima, Control, and Resident Evil 2. Every single one of those is a narrative single-player experience. So don't fucking stand up here, you money-grubbing shit pistol, and tell me that nobody wants to play single-player games because...
Don't piss on my leg and tell me I don't like single-player games.
That's right. Yes, exactly. So, I don't know. It's just really irritating. And it's irritating from EA because it's almost like they don't understand what it looks like from the outside. When we look at EA, where they've just been like, money, 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 money. And we're like, hey. And they're like, oh, our bad. Sorry, we're going to redouble our efforts. Look, here's a cute lady that's making an indie game that's very nervous on stage. And it's like, oh, that's great. Maybe there's hope for EA after all. And they're just money, 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 money. So...
it's like, we're still in the room, right?
Right. You know we can see you, right? You know that, like, people, when you make statements, listen to the statements that you make, and then, anyway.
With the internet, it makes what you say come out much faster and go much wider than it used to.
Yeah. So, to get back to your previous point, Ubisoft is also jumping onto this particular bandwagon. Let me read the quote here. This is from Lionel Reynaud, who says, "What drove this is the will to not give finite experiences. The idea was that you have this conflict and the resolution, and then it's finished. You killed the bad guy, for instance. We build a strong nemesis, and the goal of the game is to kill him or free the country. We've done that a few times in our game. But when you succeed, you have to leave the game because there's nothing else to do. So the goal was to break this and say that you will be the hero of the region or population many times, not just once. And if you get rid of a dictator or an oppressor, something else is going to happen in the world, and you will have a new goal." This is, yes, basically talking about, like, wanting to kind of make their games into
roguelikes.
It sounds bad, John. Like, I don't like the idea of we're tired of people where it's a game that has a beginning, a middle, and end. Like, we want you to just keep playing this one game forever. And it's like,
God, it sounds like, did Robert Kirkman write this press release? Because fuck, that's how he talks about his comics.
Like, I don't
like, well, it's real life doesn't have an ending, so why should my comic books have an ending?
It's because your comic book isn't real life, bro. Real life's not your comic book. But again, allow me to retort. I love a game that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a build up to the end boss.
I don't even have to understand the fucking ending. Just look at Bloodborne, but I still love that fucking story, and I like that game.
And Vanquish, no, I explained it to you. Do you need me to explain it again?
Later.
Hold on, everybody. No, I'll do it. I'll do it later. I'll do it right.
Later.
But, like, what the fuck is, like this statement doesn't just fly in the face of video games, it flies in the face of human storytelling. If somebody was like, let me tell you a story, and then it just went on and on and on, even if it was a good story, you'd just be like, I have to pee. Stop. I gotta go. Like, you
like
know,
I said, it's like the reason people stopped reading the Walking Dead comic book is because it just didn't fucking end. And it wasn't going anywhere.
Or when a TV show is on for like 10 seasons and you're just like,
sometimes that's not bad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But like Burn Notice about season 5, I was just like, yeah, no, I'm done. Like you've had several hundred hours of television to teach me about what happened to Michael Weston, and I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Because it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Which it sounds awful to me. Like,
well, yeah, no. When you have a show that's story, like its focus is on the story, like the story is this thing that's going to play out over the course of the series,
right?
But there isn't. But the idea behind it is that there will be an ending. Yeah, you have to end it at some point. You have to. You can't keep going. Like that's the problem with Lost is they had an ending and they kept getting renewed. And they kept having to create a bunch of filler and a bunch of bullshit to extend it so that it made even less sense. And it caused a bunch of problems. And it's like, no. I like it when a creator comes in and goes, I have an idea for a show. Mm-hmm. It's X amount of seasons long.
Yep.
I don't want to do more than that. I want to just do these 3 or 2 or 5 or basically J. Michael Straczynski with Babylon 5.
Sure.
He said, I have a 5-year plan, 5 years, 5 seasons. Show's over.
Yeah.
We can do other shows in the same universe if we want to do it afterwards, but 5 years, done. You know, and like that's because he had a beginning, middle, and end. Mm-hmm. And like that's how storytelling is. Now, there are shows that don't have to have that, like police procedurals or sitcoms where there's not really the purpose of the show is not the story of what's going on. It's the idea of the interactions.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. I prefer a game. You know what?
I want a game with an ending.
There's a lot of people in this world that want to pick a game and then play that game. Like Alexander, for example, motherfucker loved Destiny. Yeah. And you just like to come home from work and play 2 hours of Destiny and then go to sleep. I like the feeling of accomplishment that I get from starting a game, playing that game, building up to the end of that game, and then completing that game and putting it on my shelf of games and moving on to the next game. Like that.
Sometimes coming back to it, putting it back in, starting at the beginning, play it to the end again, then put it back on the shelf.
Yep. I like that as an idea. I'd rather replay a good game a second time than have a game that just meanders forever off in one direction.
Yeah. That's why I can't get into MMOs.
Yeah. Now, I will say that in direct contrast to what I'm saying right now, there was another idea that floated up that was in another one of their in their blog, in the Ubisoft blog, that said that there's an idea that they're floating around about the next game having multiple timelines to play in. So
next game as in next Assassin's Creed game?
Yes. So that instead of just being like Rome or Egypt or Italy or, America, that you would go to different eras, different time periods that had different stories in them, which if you were going to do kind of bracketing on more story and bracketing on more story and bracketing on more story, that might be a good way to do it as long as the mechanics are different. Like, because I think that if it's just a new coat of paint, right, but all the mechanics are exactly the same, I mean, you get the wow factor of like, holy shit, it's that, but then eventually I feel like it gets a little stale. But I still think that could be really interesting. The main problem I guess like I feel like I'm having. Did you beat Assassin's Creed Origins?
No.
Okay, I don't know why the fuck anybody is like. There used to be a story in Assassin's Creed that was like a motivator to play the game, right? And the motivations have gotten really weird, and I don't know what any of the motivations out in the real world are because I haven't played far enough in the last 2 or 3 games to get to what's happening in the real world and if anybody even still cares about that. But I do like the idea of using the different eras to have different stories that take place in different eras with different people.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a much more dynamic thing because a lot of I feel like the Assassin's Creed games have just become this like drop in, okay, here's your map. Here's all the things to collect. Here's all the places to fight. Here's your watchtowers. Here's this thing. Here's that thing. Do it. So, from there, let's see. I'm going to check on our time here. And we're all right. there's just a few interesting things about Starfield, some little tidbits, because Todd Howard can't keep his mouth shut.
Of course.
Apparently, Todd Howard has said that Starfield is potentially going to be on current and next-gen systems.
Okay.
Even though I was kind of wondering, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, I mean, because there was
could be a Zelda Breath of the Wild or Zelda, the one that came out, the previous one that came out on the Twilight game, where it's released so late in the cycle that they just.
Yeah, I guess it's weird though, because like there was an article where somebody asked somebody at CD Projekt Red about Cyberpunk 2077 and whether that was going to be on quote next gen consoles, whatever that means, and the guy was like, "No, I don't know what that means." Like we haven't gotten prototypes or even specifications from Sony or Microsoft on whatever their next thing is going to be. So,
well, I mean, I feel like part of it, the reason he probably said that is because they're still so fucking early on that development.
Yeah,
that they probably are like, you know what, we're so not anywhere near even looking at what consoles it's going to be on,
right,
that we're pretty sure that there may be another console generation by the time we're done with this.
I also think I've been watching this recently, and I think that Todd Howard is a lot like what's his name, Sean Murray.
Oh, yeah?
Except that he doesn't run his mouth as badly, because this motherfucker talks to everybody about whatever, like just on and on and on and on and on, up and down. So, yeah. Also, you know what? I'm going to skip some of these stories. So, speaking of Cyberpunk 2077, I don't know if you saw this, but this is a strange story.
Okay.
So, E3 2018, as we all know, Cyberpunk 2077 was shown behind closed doors to the press. So, one of the idiot press people who runs this website, I can't remember exactly what the name of it, it's something stupid, Sifted, had his phone out and recorded the audio from the demo. And he took it away on his phone, and then he asked the community, "Hey, what do you want me to do with this?" And they were like, "Fucking put it on the internet, man." So he did. He basically took apparently they cleaned up the audio a little bit. I'm using quotey fingers. They cleaned up the audio a little bit, put some B-roll over it, put it up on the internet. Within 30 minutes, CD Projekt Red was like, "Nuh-uh, down," and they contacted him and said, "You need to take this down immediately." And he wrote back about like, "Well, hold on, let's talk about what our options are here." And then they like copyright struck his channel immediately, because he didn't fucking take that shit down immediately. By then, of course, now it's all over the place. Yeah. I haven't listened to it, and I won't, because I'd rather.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I'd like to see it, and I don't want. I actually have kind of been trying to embargo myself a little bit about that game, mostly because it's still probably 2 years away from release, and I don't want to be hyped for 2 years, right? But the interesting thing about this is that this motherfucker they have their own YouTube channel, and this guy is a petulant bitch about this. He's like, they said no video recording, no screenshots, but nobody ever said no audio recordings. And it's like, no, dude. No. And apparently CD Projekt Red did not make them sign NDAs because CD Projekt Red is really cool. I was going to say this. CD Projekt Red is probably the coolest developer that I've ever interacted with. When I worked at Spill, when I was just doing like Let's Plays with Jason, they had a thing where you could just fill out a form and be like, "Hey, I work for this website," and they would just send you a press copy like a week early of The Witcher 2 Enhanced Edition for the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
For the E3 that I went to, where I got to see The Witcher 3 behind closed doors, they just had a sign up on their website. They were just like, "Here, are you a journalist? Come see The Witcher 3.
I've heard nothing but great things about Interactive.
I went in there and they were just like, "Hey, man, who are you?" And I'm like, "Jeff from Spill." They're like, "Oh, Jeff from Spill. Okay, we got cookies, we got Danishes. Do you want a beer?" And I was like, "It's 10 a.m. They're like, "Hey, man, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. We got a whole cooler full of beer over there. You want to get a Danish? You want to get a beer? Here's a puzzle. Here's a Witcher 3 puzzle. Here's a tote bag. It's got some keychains and shit in it." I was just like, "What? Where am I?" They're like, "Come into this nice air-conditioned room out of the California sun and let us show you 30 minutes of this fantastic fucking game that you've never seen before." And since then, I've just been like, good job, CD Projekt Red. This guy is such a fucking dick face. Like, he starts to get, he's like, it's not my fault that no other journalists thought to do this, that I was the only one with the foresight to do.
No, they thought about it, but then they went, no, that'd be a dick thing to do.
That'd be a dick move. Yeah. He also talks about how, like, he has the balls, John, the balls to say, look, CD Projekt Red obviously has a copyright on their game, but I put a lot of work into this audio that I put up, so I have a copyright on this audio.
No, you don't.
And you can't just take it down. And like a strike on my YouTube channel, that's very serious.
Yeah.
Like I said, let's talk about it because let's see what our options are. And it's like, fuck you. You don't own this. You didn't do anything. You made an audio recording of somebody else's game and put it on the internet. He says, well, it's not my fault that other so-called game journalists don't know how to do their jobs correctly and don't know how to do journalism. I'm just like, oh my fucking
That's
God.
not journalism.
This isn't journalism. You just fucking, you're a leaker. You just leaked something that isn't even a good leak. Like, if you had managed to get shaky phone cam of the entire demo, that would be a significant leak. But you didn't. You had audio that just had some details and shit in it. I mean, like, I don't know. This guy's such a garbage person. I'm just like, he's so arrogant about the fact that he did this thing that anybody with two brain cells to rub together knows is a dick move, and that potentially in the future, we don't know, but it's possible that CD Projekt Red might make you sign an NDA now before you get to walk into the room and see what's going on.
Yeah.
They might take a lot more. They might be like, hey, listen, we need y'all to put your cell phones in this case before you go in there. You can take notes by hand.
They also may deny news outlets that they are not familiar with. Yep. Like you said, they're very friendly. All you have to do is submit the thing on their website. They may stop doing that and be like, oh, you're just a gaming website that has a YouTube channel.
Right.
Sorry, no.
Yeah. So eat a bag, dude. You and EA are officially in the Jeff doesn't like you corner this week. But we've got more crazy news and garbage controversy. God, I hate this guy's face so much. Damn it. Anyway, Twitch has banned a couple of people, which apparently for saying racist things on Twitch, which apparently one of the... This isn't even like hard... Well, I don't know. I have a hard time talking about this stuff, but apparently there are two people. One was named Destiny, and the other one was called M0E. They both got 30-day bans for slurs in their videos. Specifically, Destiny claims that he said the F word and called somebody the retarded, which is not a very good word, and that apparently Twitch banned him for 30 days, which is an interesting question about, like, it's interesting to see. I don't know if this happens in other places. Like, I don't think that YouTube will turn off your ability to monetize because you're not advertiser friendly anymore, but they won't, like, delete your video from YouTube. If
depending the severity, they will.
Will they?
They'll take down the video you set it in and put a strike on your account.
Interesting. I don't really know what to think about this.
They may even shut your account down for 30 days or for like 5 days or something like that, like a temporary ban.
Like a soft ban?
Like a soft ban to be like, hey, we're going to explain to you why we need you to read this and then think about it.
Yeah.
We're not going to let you do anything for a little while.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to see this stuff because...
It also depends on whether or not... I'm almost willing to bet that Twitch has probably
reached out to these folks
and said, hey... This instance was probably not the first instance.
Right. I don't know. It's strange because, like, I don't know. I would like there not to be another, like, whatever Twitch's version of the adpocalypse was, which I feel like kind of came from shit like that, where the mainstream media, what am I talking about? Like, the general non-gamer news media fucking loves it when there's some shit with somebody online and they do something offensive. They could just be like, right? Because, like,
video games are evil.
Right. Non-gamers are more than happy to throw video games under the bus all the fucking live long day. All day,
and
every
if it's
day.
not video games, it's rap music. If it's not rap music, it's cartoons. If it's not cartoons, it's...
I was talking about this last week. I want there to be a new thing, John. I need there to be a new form of media. Like, I feel like smartphones were really the next thing, but then everybody actually has a smartphone, so you can't be like, smartphones are rotting people's brains, because even everybody has a fucking smartphone, right?
Well,
so,
playing Pokemon Go playing a video game on your smartphone is rotting your brain.
Yep. Yeah. But like I
also listening to that rap music on your phone is rotting your brain.
I feel like we got past the rap music one.
Did
like
we?
The D&D
okay.
one. I mean,
right.
I'm sure there are still some people, but I feel like video games are still the whipping boy du jour after 20 years of just like, nope, Twitch streamers saying bad words. Look at that PewDiePie and his weird, saying weird stuff. I don't know. Anyway, I don't really know what to think about this, because there's part of me that says, Twitch runs twitch.tv, right? You don't pay to be on twitch.tv. You just sign up for an account and you go. And so if Twitch makes a rule that you can't do a thing on Twitch and then you do that thing, that's on you, bro. You gotta play by the rules, or else you're going to have to get banned. And I guess it's not like their accounts are deleted. Anyway, and almost the exact opposite of that story, this is a very, very weird one that just came up today. So, okay, Guild Wars 2.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah.
That is a name I haven't heard in a long time.
So there's a lady named Jessica Price. She is one of the writers for Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I recognize her name. I think she's done some other stuff, but yeah.
She posted this very, very long, on her Twitter account, she posted this very, very long kind of, people do tweet essays or whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking hate those, man. It's like, what? Fucking do a twit longer or whatever. Like, write a blog post. Don't make 60 tweets. Anyway, she basically is one of the writers for Guild Wars 2. She wrote this very long kind of thing about how writing characters for MMOs is very, very difficult, because unlike a single-player game, people come to MMOs and they want their characters to be like versions of themselves. So it's harder to write specific story or characters about, or characterizations about those characters, because if you really nail down, say, what a human mage is like, right, then like that could be different than what the person has in their head. So that you have to kind of write a vague story where other characters will interact with you as if you're a well-known. Is interesting, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. So,
having worked at a company that did an MMO, and also having friends who have worked as writers on MMOs, I understand what she's talking about.
Yes. So at the end, here comes this guy with a handle Deroir, 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 I don't know, who comes back with a 3-tweet thing to one of her things. Here, I'll just read a couple of these. So the one that she said was, the dirty secret is, this is from Jessica Price. The dirty secret is, I'm not sure if it's possible to make an MMORPG or CRPG character compelling, because people have different expectations about what the character will be, as opposed to a pre-designed character in a single player game. This guy, who actually does just like has a YouTube channel that's pretty much entirely devoted to Guild Wars 2, came back and said, really interesting thread to read. However, allow me to disagree slightly. I don't believe the issue lies in the MMORPG genre itself, parentheses, as your wording seemingly suggests, parentheses, I believe the issue lies in the constraints of the living story's narrative design. The living story is what Guild Wars 2 main story is called. And he goes on for a few more tweets. He's very deferential in his tone. He's not doing any of this stuff. At which point she retweeted this and said, today, in being a female game dev, quote, allow me, a person who does not work with you, to explain to you how to do your job, unquote. At which point the original guy came in and basically said, in a world where discussions should be encouraged and not belittled, yet the opposite becomes reality, I've apparently found myself in the midst of a war I never intend. Oh no, this is what he said afterwards. He came back and basically was just like, hey, I'm really sorry. I was just trying to have a conversation. I thought I was very respectful. Sorry that I rubbed you the wrong way. You do you. Now, as you can imagine on Twitter, this then became
blows up,
a fucking thing. And eventually the guy, this Deroir guy, is just like, I'm not trying to get into this war. I'm fucking hashtag feminist, hashtag girl power, right? Like, I was just trying to kind of have a conversation, because she replied to him, and then like later in the day, she quote tweeted him with another tweet that was something along the lines of like, last thing that I needed on the 4th of July was someone mansplaining my job to me when I'm just fucking trying to relax. Something along those lines, right? Not exactly the place. It basically seemed like this guy was being about as friendly as you could be, and is obviously a big fan of the game that this person works on, and that like from the second that he started talking to her, she was just like shutting him out. And then later on, another one of the devs came in to basically, because she started getting flack then from the internet pretty much immediately of just like, what the fuck, man? Like, this guy was, you know, you made a 60 tweet long essay about writing for video games, and this guy was like, hey, I disagree, this is what I think. And then you were just like, bah, and then it suddenly turned into something different. So one of the other developers came in and started, or I think it's one of the other writers came in and started throwing shade back at people. Both of them are now fired from ArenaNet.
Wow.
ArenaNet let both the writers go and issued an apology because basically at the end of the day, I feel like for ArenaNet, it was that there were two people who were writers on this game that were aggressively handling the fans, which, I mean, how many people can even be playing Guild Wars 2? I mean, it's got to be some amount of people, right? But like, if I had a fan base like Guild Wars 2, I don't think I would be, I think it'd be just like, you guys, no, whatever, would stay, please, have a free month. Well,
Guild Wars is, if I'm not mistaken, Guild Wars is free.
Well, Guild Wars you have to buy.
Well, I mean, yeah,
right?
You buy, but there's no subscription.
Yeah, I think there's some cosmetic shit that you can get, but in any case, it was really interesting because it was like, I feel like the opposite of what we see a lot on the internet these days.
Yeah,
that I feel like normally when those situations are reversed, that you see it kind of go in the opposite direction. But this guy was just so reasonable. And I read her entire thing, and I read his entire thing, and I read some of the comments. And one of the points that she was making was like, let me see if I can find the direct quote, because and something like this, I really don't want to like misquote her. No, I'm on somebody else's Twitter page. God, I'm bad at internets.
Yeah, you are.
That's why I have a show on the internet. Let's see. Okay, I'll boil it down. You can go read it yourself. It's basically like, this is my private Twitter account, and I'm not here to be lectured about how to do my job from people that I don't even work with. And it's like, okay, yes, this is your private Twitter account. It has your avatar, right? But if you make a giant thing about being a game developer and somebody comes to comment on it, I feel like you gotta expect that. Is that you've gone, like, if your Twitter account is nothing but like what you're doing with your family and you're hanging out and here's my hot dog and like I made this pasta or whatever, right? Like, that's one thing. But if you start bringing your job into your Twitter account and then somebody who's a fan of the thing that you're working on responds, I feel like you have to be a little bit kid glovish with them, right? I mean, they're like your customers. And you're like a brand ambassador, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's typically why when I worked for Blizzard, I didn't talk about Blizzard anywhere. Because they actually very publicly, like, you had to sign a form that says, if you mention Blizzard in anything you do online, you are officially a spokesperson for Blizzard and have to watch your ass.
Right.
That's why when we were recording here, I didn't want to be involved in any news articles about Blizzard because I couldn't talk about it.
Right.
Like, to the point of, I'm like, I even had to go to them and go, hey, I do videos on this, and I also have my own podcast, and I also do this. I do talk about video games, but I will not talk about Blizzard stuff because I'm here. And they were like, okay, that's good, kind of thing. Like, now that I'm not working there, I can talk about where the fuck I want to talk about.
Sure.
Especially since most of that stuff is already out, and I don't have to, like, most of the stuff that I knew about before it came out, it's already out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, if you're just posting on Twitter, like, and you mentioned the company you work for, yeah, you're kind of saying that you work for them and talking about your thing for them, you're kind of opening yourself up as being a spokesperson for them, or giving the perception, even if you're not trying to be a spokesperson for them, from the company's perspective, you are essentially doing that.
Right. It also, I mean, like, the other thing is, I mean, like, I just feel like if you're gonna go to fucking war with Twitter, you better be sure that the company has your back, right? Like, because it doesn't end very well. There's a lot more people on Twitter than you. In any case, I don't know. This is one where, like, I'm all for lady writers writing Rick and Morty and people sending them death threats, and that's stupid and that's shitty, and I fucking hate it, right?
Yeah.
You go on Twitter and people are talking about like, oh, I'm going to find your house and kill your kids, and I feel like that's horrible. I don't want any part of that. This seemed like it was somebody who was just kind of like a really big fan of this one property that just wanted to try to be like, hey, you know what? I think something different. Like, I think that the structure of this might actually work better for this. And like, if you go to this guy's YouTube channel, it's just Guild Wars 2. The guy's just got like a shitload of Guild Wars 2 content on there. And I felt like the response was just so snapping back like, nah, bro, that it's hard.
And I mean, I can't really speak on this because I don't know the specifics of it outside of what you're telling me. And, so I can't really say like, oh man, she's totally in the wrong, or he's totally in the wrong, or
right,
or what. But it's
just a weird situation.
It is a weird situation.
Anyway, let's talk about Fortnite.
Okay.
So actually,
that's still a thing.
Oh damn, we are way low on time. Okay, let's talk about one thing from Fortnite and skip the other thing that I had. We're gonna have to start cutting some of these stories. So this is a guy. All right. Fortnite's new thing is there's a big crack in the sky, right?
Yeah, there's spatial stuff happening all over the time.
There's a rocket that was launching
and cracked the sky, yeah.
Right, and when the rocket was launching, everybody had like a ceasefire, and everybody was watching the rocket launch.
I know about this, yes.
This gentleman, who had a 0.47 kill-to-death ratio and a 0.6 win ratio, came in, and there was a huge viewing platform, and he used a rocket launcher to blow out one of the structural supports on the platform, and there's a lovely video where you could just see all these little people boop, 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 falling out of the sky. And in 1 second, this guy got the record for the highest kill rate in a match of Fortnite with like 68 people at one time. And it's amazing. That's great. That is what I want to see out of Fortnite. I don't want to see...
I feel like it's kind of a dick move.
Oh yeah, it's totally a dick move. I'm not gonna disagree with you, but I think it's hilarious. I don't know. If I was playing the game, I might have a different opinion. If I was one of those people that was killed, maybe. But you know what? You built yourself a giant scaffolding with one point of support, and this guy had a rocket launcher. So I don't know. Apparently, everybody... I mean,
there are always, every time there's an event like this, because there have been multiple, not specifically this event, but things where in the game something happened and it only happens at this one time. It only happens ever once.
Yep.
There are people who they call like ceasefire on the server,
right? And
then they all kind of like watch the thing. And there's always one fucker that decides like, I'm gonna go in and kill everybody and get all the kills.
Oh, 48 people. The previous record was 33 at one time. This is 48, but I don't know. I thought it was funny, but then I don't care about Fortnite anymore. So
I get that.
All right, we got some trailers this week. Okay, we got a brand new Dead Island trailer, but it's not for Dead Island 2. It's for the Dead Island Survivors, a mobile game.
Which just came out earlier this week.
Yes.
I saw it when I was browsing my tablet earlier today. As of recording this, I was like, oh, hey, there's a Dead Island mobile game. I'm not downloading that.
Yep.
I think it's like a tower defense kind of thing.
The only thing that's interesting about this is that in the time by making it Deep Silver confirmed that they are still working on Dead Island 2.
Yeah.
Which I actually looked up the date for, was announced at 2014 E3.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what are you doing? What is taking so long? This game looks pretty stock standard, though. I feel like Dead Island is a game where there was Dead Island 1, and there was Dead Island Riptide, and there was just a shitload of spin-off games. There was like the MOBA, like a side-scroller, like a top-down adventure game or something. Like, and even though I appreciate the inclusion of Sam B in this mobile game, I don't know why you would set out to be like, you know what we should do? John, you and I should make a tower defense game for cell phones. Like, there's not enough of those, right? It'll be free to play, and then after a certain number of lives, you'll have to buy more lives, or you have to wait for like 4 hours to get some energy credits.
Yep.
The 3 stars on every map. Yeah. what made
it does feel like they've in the meantime while they're still working on Dead Island 2, it does feel like that every other thing has been kind of like chasing the trend.
Yeah,
because they had that MOBA game when MOBAs were kind of the big thing for the hot minute.
Yep.
And their MOBA, we played it on Super Awesome Video Game Show. I played that fucking thing for a couple of weeks to prepare for it, and it was fucking garbage.
Yeah.
I hate that game. There was the Dead Island, the Xbox 360 spinoff thing where it was like it was a Dead Island game, but not a Dead Island game because it was like a dude with no memory while the zombie apocalypse is kind of like while all the stuff is going down for Dead Island 1, and he's like a journalist. I don't even remember what it was called.
It's like a third-person action game or something like that. Yeah, there's been so many stupid spin-offs for this.
Like, it doesn't even feel like it was a Dead Island game. It just feels like it's a game that someone made and then slapped Dead Island on it or like halfway through the development of the game, they went, let's just stick this in the Dead Island universe.
Escape Dead Island?
Yes. Yeah, Escape Dead Island.
Dead Island Epidemic, that was canceled. Dead Island Definitive Edition, Dead Island 2. Okay, well, I feel like there was more than just that one game, but because there was the MOBA, too.
Yeah.
Anyway, in exactly the polar opposite of how bored I am by the Dead Island trailer, there is a Yakuza Kiwami 2 trailer. Ooh, man, I don't know what it is, John, but the last 12 months, I beat Yakuza 6. I'm still playing Yakuza 0. I played Yakuza Kiwami last year. Yakuza 2, Kiwami 2 is looking great. I'm all in. I'm all in on Yakuza now.
Nice.
I'm a Yakuza maniac. This looks appropriately bombastic and silly and Yakuza, and I love it. And yeah, I really wish that they would go back and I mean, I guess I'll have to see once they show what it looks like, but I hope that the 3, 4, and 5 releases on the PlayStation 4 look as good as this.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, at least 4 and 5 were on the PS3.
Yeah.
So those
I think 3 was too.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, at least those were on the PS3, so those look good.
Yeah.
They may not look as good as this, but they at least looked good.
Well, I'm wondering if the engine that they're using,
I'm sure that, yeah,
can just be up-resed, because, like, I remember early on in the PS Vita development, they showed a section of Yakuza 5 running on the PlayStation Vita and said that it was extremely easy to port the code from the PlayStation 3 version to the Vita version. I don't know. It's just these remasters look so good. They're so good looking that I just want them all to be, I want all of them to be this good looking, but I don't know. It also looks amazing, and Kiryu is awesome, and that's badass.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and skip the rest of these. Except, I mentioned this, and I didn't actually go into it because we didn't have time, but there is a Kill la Kill game that Arc System Works is making, and we finally got a trailer for it from the Anime Expo 2018. It is going to be an arena fighter, like the Dragon Ball games or the Naruto games. Looks pretty good. You said you've never actually watched Kill la Kill.
No, never watched it.
I feel like the fact that Kill la Kill is basically just a whole big series of boss fights in the show means that it could actually
translate pretty
well into this. Apparently, they are working with Trigger, who made the original series, to make this fit into the actual lore of the series instead of just being a kind of Elseworlds or whatever. It looks like Arc System Works is doing that same kind of
trying to make it look as much like
2D, yeah, kind of cell shaded 2D. Looks pretty good. It's a little rough around the edges in this trailer. I don't know how early this is, but you can definitely kind of see the outside edges. There's some places where it looks a little rough around the edges, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. I don't know. I feel like those particular types of games, those like arena fighter games, are all based on whether or not you like the franchise.
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
And I like that franchise. Speaking of arena fighting games, we got Bleach characters coming to Jump Force. Yep. So Ichigo,
not surprised.
Rukia, and Aizen from Bleach are coming to Jump Force.
Oh, okay.
Do you watch Bleach, John?
I have watched a good chunk of it.
Okay.
And by a good chunk of it, I mean probably about 100 episodes.
Okay. Who would
I don't know how many episodes there are in total, but I know it's way more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I've maybe only watched like a third of it.
Yeah, I think there was a time in my life where I contemplated watching Bleach and then was like, nah, I don't think so.
I had a friend who got really obsessed with it and made me watch the first 100 episodes with him in a week that I just had nothing to do. I wasn't at work, I had time off from work and stuff and literally we just spent an entire weekend watching all the episodes, and then I was like, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, we caught up to the latest episode. I was like, wow. And then I never watched it again. And then I looked up and was like, oh, there's 200 more episodes after that. That's great. Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not. There's someone gone there was like, there's only 100 so many video episodes, but whatever. It's I've only seen up to 100 or something like that.
Every time I go onto an anime service, I go to the Hulu anime or Crunchyroll or whatever, and I feel like I always see Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. And it's episode 1 of 830-minute episodes. And I'm just yep, nope, that's okay.
There was a show that, what was it? Crunchyroll was hey, this show is, finally on Verve or whatever, and it's really popular, and you should totally watch it. It's called Jin Tama or something like that. And I'm like, all right, cool. Oh, there's 400 episodes. Fuck you. I'm not watching that.
Nah, it's all right. It's all right. Again, beginning, middle, end. Good to go. Not interested in watching something that is 400 episodes and counting and still going. I'm sure that if you go back to the beginning and you start, that's fine. But recently I have come to the conclusion, John, someday I will die. And I need a really good reason to watch 400 episodes of a television show instead of doing something else that I may want to do more than watch 400 episodes of any television show, no matter how good it is. I'm not ever going to watch Dragon Ball. I'm never going to do it. I'm just never going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
That's fine. That's fine, man.
What I will do though is play the new Soulcalibur game, which is going to have Talim in it.
Of course.
Apparently, she wasn't in the last game, though, right?
No, well, the last game took place in the far future. This game takes place in the past,
right?
So it's it's earlier in the timeline. So of course she would be there because she's there.
Okay, how far in the future are we talking? The 33rd century, or
no? And when I say far future, I mean it's literally the children of the previous games fighters. The characters that are in this, it was their children, aside from a few other characters.
Okay.
The main two characters I think were Sophidia's kids grown up or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean they had actually moved the game progressively in the story mode. I think Talim in 4 kind of was all right, I'm done.
Okay.
Kind of with the whole thing.
Well, is this exciting news, or is this just? I mean, I feel every 3 weeks I have you on here, and I'm like, guess what, John? So and so's in Soulcalibur, blah blah blah.
And I'm like, I expected them to be because they were in the first or they were in the second game, or the first 2 games. I feel any character that's in those first 2 games, I was more surprised by Zasalamel being in the game than anything.
Okay,
because that fucker wasn't in the first 2 games.
Yep, I was more surprised that Geralt of Rivia was in there.
I wasn't considering since 2 they've had the guest character.
Right. That didn't seem like one. If you asked me to put money on it, I would have bet it was somebody from Assassin's Creed or fucking Noctis.
Well, they already had Assassin's Creed, so it wasn't going to be Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
It could have been Noctis. Yeah, it could have been Noctis.
Because we got to put Noctis in everything. He's such a great character. Is he? I don't know. How is he good? He's just emo. Sorry, I'm not going down that road again. Shenmue 1 and 2 have a release date.
Yes, on Xbox One and PS4 and PC.
Yes, August 21st. So if you never played Shenmue, like I haven't, then on August 21st, you can finally get your chance to see what everybody's talking about.
Or at least the first one is. I never played Shenmue 2.
Yeah.
Because it was only on the Xbox.
Well, do you know what a lot of other people haven't played?
What?
PT.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people didn't get to play that.
Yeah. It was on the PlayStation 4. I actually have a PlayStation 4 that has it on there, but which is, I felt like at one point people were selling those, but it's like attached to my PlayStation account. You can't have my PlayStation account. It's got like 500 games on it.
You have to sell the PlayStation account with it.
My PlayStation account's worth way more than whatever you're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, In one of the stupidest things that I've ever fucking seen in my entire goddamn life, because people don't pay attention to what the fuck they're doing, a fan of PT, a 17-year-old developer that goes by the handle Queemsar, has basically been recreating PT in the Unreal Engine, and like a fucking stupid idiot dope that doesn't know anything and couldn't find his ass with both hands, he has released like the 0.9 version of this and said, well, I'm going to work on this more. I'm not quite done yet. And it's like, fucking Konami ain't going to let that shit sit around.
Yeah.
Like next week, I guarantee you we're going to have a story about how Quizmar's project has been taken down by Konami or whatever. I mean, even if it's free, Konami doesn't have a fucking sense of humor. Like worse than EA. They have the Silent Hill franchise and they won't do anything with it. At least they'll make a terrible Metal Gear game. At least they'll make a fucking awful cash grab, shitty Metal Gear game.
Yeah.
They won't even make a shitty Silent Hill game. They don't even make a bad Castlevania game. They have Castlevania.
They do allow a Castlevania animated TV series, which comes out in October. The second season.
Yeah, I know, but like, yeah, Konami. I mean, I don't know. Haven't we learned at this point? Don't announce your fan project until it's like 100% done. Don't show any part of it.
And even then, kind of try to be sly about it.
Learn from Scott Cawthorn and just fucking blip that shit up on Steam one day and be like, hey guys, this is the game. Bye. And then, they make that Scott Cawthorn money.
Who the fuck is Scott Cawthorn?
The Five Nights.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not playing Endless Night. I'm not going to play it. I said that Matt and Jennifer are more than happy to come over here. I'll turn on my webcam. They could go, and do the thing. I'm not playing it. I'm not playing it. It's just like, pick which jump scares you want. I don't care. I don't want that. And last but not least, our favorite culprit for leaks and news and things like that, which may or may not be true. Overseas pre-order listings.
Nice.
Yes. Apparently, I think this is Italian Amazon.
Oh, Italian Amazon
has put up pre-orders for Bloodborne 2, Sunset Overdrive 2, and that new Splinter Cell game that Walmart said was coming out before E3. So it's just like, you fuckers, you fuckers. One of the three of these better fucking happen, or I'm going to go to Italy and I'm going to burn down the Amazon in Italy, because Bloodborne 2, yes.
Now you're talking about the company Amazon and not like the Amazon like rainforest. I don't know if there are any in Italy, but
no,
because it's not the Amazon. I know that, but I'm just saying
there's a sea of the Mediterranean Sea that's between.
I know there's no Amazons in Italy. I'm just saying no Amazon rainforest.
Before I make an idiot out of myself, I think the rainforests are mostly in South America, right?
They are.
Okay, yeah, because you got Africa, probably some in like India, maybe. I don't know, tropical latitudes. Anyway. One of the three of these better fucking be a thing is all I'm saying. Italy and Amazon Italy, because I'll take any one of them. I don't care. I mean, Bloodborne 2, yes please. Sunset Overdrive 2, hells yeah. Fucking new Splinter Cell, sure. Any one of them. It doesn't even have to be all of them. It could just be one of them. But my brain can only think of two things, John. Either Amazon Italy knows something that I don't know, right? And one of these things is true.
That's possible.
Or Amazon Italy is accepting money for outrageous guesses of video games that may or may not even exist into the future.
Yeah.
And as near as I can tell in my brain meets anyway, I don't know. Option B seems a lot stupider and less likely to be a thing, but you should never count out stupidity.
Yeah.
Right? Like, who would be like, there's going to be a Bloodborne 2. I know he said that I know they've announced Sekiro and like Dark Souls. They're going to make another just start taking $60. Just start taking $60 from whoever will give us $60 for Bloodborne 2. And we'll give it back to them if there's not a Bloodborne 2. In the meantime, we'll just put it in the bank and make a lot of interest and money and shit, right? Also, what else? Sunset Overdrive 2. Yeah, I know that's IP is owned by Microsoft, and that if they had Sunset Overdrive 2, they almost certainly would have announced it at E3 this year, right? To bolster their lineup. Put it on the website. Put it on the website. Ask for $10. We'll take $10 from anybody. They'll give us $10. Why would you even pre-order something like that before it's been announced? There's no reason. Just wait for
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
There are some people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's been announced.
Yeah.
They want to put money towards it. I have worked at a company.
Yeah.
Item wasn't announced. Not even by the company I worked for.
Yeah.
It's not even an item that they would even... But they sell other companies' items as well. Why isn't this listed on your website? Because that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
No, I read a thing on the internet that says it's a thing. Well,
Ooh.
I understand, but the publisher said that it's not a thing and it's not a real thing, and therefore we can't. Well, I want to give you money for this, so I'm telling you it's a real thing. I'll send you the link to the thing that I read. Put it on your website and allow me to pre-order it. No, that's not how this works. We're not going to take your money for something some guy said somewhere in a video on a YouTube channel. Like, I'm sorry, that's... Like, but there are real people like this.
Yeah.
And they get so upset.
Yeah.
So upset that you're like, it doesn't exist. Sorry, no. We're not going to take your money because that's a fake product. That doesn't exist.
So what you're saying, if I'm hearing correctly, Half-Life 3 confirmed John Sitton.
Yeah,
like
no.
2018.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take your $10. I'll take your $10. I'll just hold on to it. I won't spend it. I'll hold on to it. But I'm accepting pre-orders for Half-Life 3 right now on Rage Select. That's what I'm doing.
Don't give Jeff your money unless it's for Patreon. Which yes, if it's meant for Rage Select, then give Jeff your money. But for don't give Jeff your money for Half-Life 3.
Confirmed. One of these better be true. We're taking a break. We'll be back with the questions. And John, I got a pasta machine.
Yeah, in the break, you got a pasta machine.
I got a pasta machine. I ordered it. I ordered it this morning, and it's at Amazon Prime.
Ah, yes.
Same day. Last week, we were making pasta, and I didn't know how easy it was to make pasta. You just put water in flour, and then you just put salt in there, and you just make it, and then you put it through the machine. So I decided I want to make my own pasta, and now I can. And I'll let you all know how making pasta goes. The thing is a beast. It's big. It's heavy. I like it. Anyway, I'm not going to make pasta.
It's not that big, but it's a pasta maker.
Yes.
It's what you would think a size of an actual pasta maker would be.
I don't know. I thought it would be smaller than this, but anyway, I'm not going to.
Usually they're bigger.
I'm going to mess with that right now because we got questions. MailerRageSite.com is the email address. But before we get to those questions, we're a little bit low on questions this week. We've actually been a little bit low on questions in general. So if you're listening to this and you're a fan of the podcast, send us questions, because without questions, I'm just going to be talking about pasta for 30 minutes after the news, and nobody wants to just listen to Jeff talk about pasta for 30 minutes. I mean, I think somebody maybe wants to hear that, but eventually I'll run out of things to say about pasta.
Yeah.
So I would like to say, on our last podcast, I was scrolling through the YouTube comments, and there was a YouTube comment by a gentleman that goes by, or a lady, I don't know, that goes by the name of Full Metal Bat, who made a comment on our last one.
Was it Jeff's voice is stupid and I don't want to hear him anymore?
Yes. No, it was not that. Yes, and so we're so low on questions, I'm going to read the mean comments on YouTube to Jeff.
I'm just wanting to know if you read my question that I posted on YouTube, Jeff.
Oh, okay. No.
It wasn't really a question. It just said Jeff is mean and I hate his voice.
Yes, that's that. Well, I feel like we've already addressed that over the last 3 years, right? So, but he says, or she, or whoever they are, says, genuine question, Jeff. I'm not trying to be shitty. I'm curious why you like Overwatch that releases content 2 years after launch, but hate the idea of live service games. Isn't Overwatch technically a live service game? And then somebody responded, the person by the name of Aaron Litchfield responded to that, says Overwatch doesn't demand constant subscriptions. You buy the game, and that's all you need. All the additional content has been free. And then Full Metal Bat says, I suppose that makes sense. Just from Jeff's tone, sometimes I get the impression that he doesn't like new content added to old games, or to games in general. To old games in general. Which, okay, so let's break it on down here, right?
Yes.
First off, the problem that I have with games as service comes not from additionally adding content. Well, it kind of comes from additionally adding content to game. let me put it this way. The difference between, say, Overwatch and like Destiny, right, is that when Destiny releases an expansion, you have to be a certain level to play that expansion, right? Or you're recommended that you need to, like, it's like TennoCon is going on right now, and Warframe is getting ready to, or has already put this new expansion out that has this big new storyline, right?
Yeah.
But you need to be like level 100 in Warframe in order to play that expansion. Or like in World of Warcraft, they'll release a new expansion. And a lot of times they'll give you like a token where it's like you can go from level 1 to level like 80 for, just like in a second.
Yeah.
But I always hate it when that happens because I feel like
you're missing something.
Well, the way that MMOs dole out abilities slowly and they let you get used to them and they let you like really get a handle on what your character's about, as much as being like, all right, you're max level, fucking go play the new content. It never feels quite right to me. Overwatch, on the other hand, I played Overwatch today, and it was the first time I played Overwatch in, say, 6 or 8 months, right?
Yeah.
It's I mean, like, some of the characters are different. Like Hanzo he doesn't have the bouncy arrow anymore.
Yeah,
he's got like the rapid fire one. Symmetra's changes have been pushed out. Like, I haven't played Mercy in forever, but her revive was set over to think about. But for the most part, I don't have to keep up with the curve of Overwatch. I can leave Overwatch and be like, oh, I want to play that new Hammond character, right? Load up Overwatch. Genji still works the same way. McCree still works the same way. And even if there's been a change made to Hanzo's loadout, most of his stuff's pretty similar. Symmetra is all over the place, right? But for the most part, like, Roadhog isn't any different now than he was when the game launched. Like, there's been some slight differences. Like, Junkrat's mines are on a cooldown now instead of...
He can also do multiple of them.
Two. And some characters work slightly differently. But the difference between that and what would be a live service, right, is that you don't have to keep playing. Like, those live service games are all about doling out content to just keep you playing the exact same game, and then you need to be current to play the expansion. So if, the Destiny expansion comes out and you never got past level 1, you're going to need to get up to a certain level in order to be able to play.
Yeah, if I go by that, because every time they release a new patch, they always release the version of the game that has the original game and the new patch built into it. If I've never played Destiny, I'm like, oh, that new patch is coming up and hearing really good things. I'm going to go buy it.
Right.
When I load that game up, I don't get to access that new content. I have to start off at the beginning and play my way through it, and then maybe I'll get to that content at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Whereas with Overwatch, you're literally just playing.
It's so well constructed that it hasn't changed that much. And even when you compare it to things like to other shooters, I feel like that's another thing. And not to just go off on another fucking Jeff Loves Overwatch rant, but here it comes. So get ready. Like Call of Duty, right? You level up in Call of Duty, right? You get better sights. You get your guns get leveled up. You get. Battlefield has that same thing now, where when you start out as Battlefield, you have like one shitty gun, and then the more you use it, you get like points that you can use to unlock new guns or attachments or sights or like things for your loadout. So even those games, it's like you have an advantage the more you play them. I feel like you have a skill advantage in Overwatch, but like, Pharah doesn't become a better Pharah because I've played 40 hours of Pharah. Pharah's the same at level...
You become a better player because you've been playing 40 hours of Pharah.
Right.
But Pharah, the character, doesn't change.
Right. And like, I jumped into a rando match today, and right before I picked John up, like, it was random characters, and I ended up getting like a really stupid play of the game as Genji, who I don't even really play. But I understand how Genji plays. Like, I've played enough in the random heroes map to get a handle on at least some. I mean, like, I don't play as Doomfist. In fact, I think Doomfist is probably the weakest character I have, so I always just spawn with him, and I'm like, ha-ha, Doomfist! Oh, and I'm dead. Okay. Oh, good, Diva. I know how to play Diva. But that's the difference, I feel like, between Overwatch and what you would consider a live service game, is that I don't have to have any pre-existing investment in Overwatch in order to just jump in and play. Also, I don't have to spend any money on those expansions. I don't have to buy Hammond or, the Blizzard World map or, Lucio Ball, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, all that stuff comes in free, so, like, I can always load up the game. It always plays relatively similarly, and I can just go, hey, cool, like, I'm good to go.
I will say, for me, I actually don't mind it when companies add new content to games. I do think it gets a little egregious if it feels like that maybe this content could, like, Capcom used to be egregious for of releasing games and then all the DLC turned out was on the disc.
Oh yeah,
and like literally, it was done. It was in the game. It was finished. It was burned into the disc. I bought it. It's there.
But you need the unlock code.
But like I'm locked out of it until they decide to sell that content,
right? Because
they want to wait till people start to stop playing that game.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, hey, new content, it's out, and you don't even have to download it. It's on your disc already.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, if it's on my disc, why the fuck am I paying for it? But I mean, that's a different thing. That's a completely different story. But I'm saying, like, I'm not against new content. I'm just against the way it's delivered. And games, the games that are touted as games of as service, they're just glorified fucking MMOs.
Sure.
And I don't know, like, I just, like, it's like, I don't, like, I want to play, like we talked about earlier, I want to play a game and be done with it.
Yep.
There are games that I can play that aren't like that, like you said, like Overwatch. There's a few others that I can think of that I, will pick up and play mobile phone games, like, for example, like little games that, like, I can pick up for a second, play, and then put it away and then never touch it again.
Right.
But when I come back to it, I'm not at a disadvantage because 3 expansions have come out and all my friends are suddenly behind expansions that I'm locked out of because I didn't buy those in those 3 months that I wasn't playing.
Yep.
Like, I do kind of have an issue with that, but also I have problems with games like Destiny and the idea of Anthem because they're just MMOs. Right. And I already know MMOs. I went through the MMO craze. I was there. I
played the Matrix Online, God damn it.
I played City of Heroes. I played Lineage 2. Never even fucking heard of Lineage 1, and I played Lineage 2.
Right.
I played EverQuest for a hot second. I played Dark Age of Camelot. I played all these fucking games, and the same thing happened in every one of them, including World of Warcraft, while I was working at Blizzard, which is I played it pretty obsessively, and then I went, I'm bored.
Right.
All right, walking away from this, and then never looked back at it.
Yeah.
The only reason I ever stuck with a game was because I was working for the fucking company that made the game, and I had to, as part of my fucking job, to know what that game was and what that content was. But ultimately, there's a point where it's like, you know what? I don't fucking care. It's just a grind.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about progression is that if it's a progression for the world and you get too far behind, it just feels like I don't even want, like EVE Online seems like it's got some pretty cool stuff going on in it, but the people that are playing EVE Online, it's like, oh, it'll take me like 3 years to get to where they are, and at that point they'll be 3 years ahead of me because they're still playing EVE Online. So that's the main difference for me between Overwatch and other stuff, is just like Overwatch remains the game today that Overwatch was when it launched. I mean, some people will probably disagree with that in some ways, and there are minute ways that characters have been balanced or differences or whatever, but for the most part, you can still drop in and play Soldier 76 and run around and shoot people like you're in Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
So I don't ever feel like I'm behind the times, which is why I love Overwatch, because of that system. It means that when they launch a character like Hammond and I'm like, oh, I'm interested in this, it's like I just load up Overwatch and go fucking play as the mecha ball hamster, smash it into people and be like, oh, that was fun. I can play it for a day and then fucking put it away. And then when the Halloween update comes out, be like, ooh, I want to play Junkenstein's Revenge 3 or whatever. And let me play that. I'll play it for a few days, get some costumes, get some shit. All right, that's cool. But, I'm going to go back and play whatever the fuck I want to. Yeah, I don't like it when a game is trying to subtly get me to play the fuck out of it, like, forever, and especially to like keep up with your friends. That's what I don't like about that. And as for the second thing that he says, I get the impression that he doesn't like new content added to old games in general. That's kind of a double-edged statement. I don't have a problem with it. I feel like it falls into two categories. It's one of the things that I've tried to desperately say over the years, is that it depends on the content, right? If it's Minerva's Den or Undead Nightmare, right? Those are great DLCs. They're great. They don't take anything away from the main storyline. They were great. Lair of the Shadow Broker in Mass Effect 2. Even the fucking Citadel party that you could have in Mass Effect 3. Like, that was a fun addition. There are DLCs that are good. then there's DLCs that just feel like a waste, or like you're asking me to come back to a game for no good reason. Like, I would prefer a game have a beginning, middle, and end and a good, satisfying story. And as long as it has that, then I don't mind having additional DLC. In a lot of cases, though, it just feels like the DLC has been, like you were talking about, stripped out of the game before launch in order to have something to sell later on. I mean, for fuck's sake, Blood Wine for The Witcher 3 is like half the size of The Witcher 3, and it was like $20 or $25 at launch. Like, yeah, that's worth it. That's totally worth it. You play The Witcher, you want more Witcher, here comes a brand new thing set in a new area. Blah, blah, blah. What was the... my brain is having a hard time. There was something that was announced, I think, at E3 that was like an expansion, but it was a standalone DLC for something. I think it was one of the conferences. I don't think it was Sony. It was the PC game conference, where I feel like it was something big that was standalone DLC. Anyway, something like Undead Nightmare or Festival of Blood, or the stuff that we've seen happen where it's basically like a spin-off game that's its own thing. I don't have any problem with that either, because it's all just usually add-on content. And most of the time it just depends on the company. Like, if I get a full experience out of a game and then I can go back and play more of that game that I love later, that's okay. But, I don't ever ding them for it, but in a lot of ways, From Software is pretty bad about add-on content, because Dark Souls 1 is a much better... Even though Artorias of the Abyss isn't necessary for the story of Dark Souls 1, it's still such a good world-building piece of content. Like Bloodborne and the Old Hunters. I don't consider Bloodborne to be a super complete game without the Old Hunters. Like, it's such a good piece of content, right?
Yeah.
That I would almost consider the game to be incomplete without that content. So, anywho. All right, let's jump back into the questions. Just next time, dude, send it in to mail@ragesite.com. Let's see. Our first question this week. Let me just make sure I didn't put these in order. Our first question this week actually comes back to you and I's E3 coverage. So, yeah. This comes from Gregory, who says, "Hello, Jeff and John. I was so happy to hear my email on the show 2 weeks ago, and I'm sure this was several weeks by this time, and I thought I would do a follow-up on the PC Gaming Showcase." Oh, he was the one that asked us about what could be done to fix the PC Gaming Showcase? Yeah. "Overall, I thought it was better than previous years. Sure, they started the show with a 3D knockoff game of Factorio, and there was both an Uber and Lyft simulator games, but I thought it was enjoyable. I never felt bored during the showcase, and I did add some games mentioned in the PC Showcase." I assume he means like a Steam wish list or something.
Yeah.
That is until the end, where the stream ended with the PC Gaming Showcase thanking the sponsors who helped with the show, and it's saying developers that were on stage showcasing their games. I'm now with you, Jeff. PC Gaming isn't going to change anything because it's a pay-for-play showcase, and nobody charges anything when money is coming in. Let's see. I got some big stuff. This is a big one. Okay, so this guy, he has something. Just talking about when you and I were talking about the hit record with the Ubisoft with Beyond Good and Evil 2. Says, "Overall, I enjoyed Rage Like C3 coverage until the Ubisoft showcase, and I was a little miffed about John's comments about hit record having fans submit artwork for Beyond Good and Evil 2. Which I don't think you were contentious or anything with that. But
I was playing devil's advocate for most of that. So.
Most people are focusing on artwork, which they are mainly looking for is wanted posters. But I think the most important part is that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is music to be played on the pirate radio station when you're roaming around the world. Rockstar announced that they will be issuing a patch to remove 51 songs from Grand Theft Auto 4 plus DLC over music licensing expirations. Ubisoft is looking for a way to have music while roaming through the open world, while also not having to spend millions of dollars in music licensing. And if this becomes successful, I expect more studios will go this route, which is an interesting tack. Like I personally like the radio stations in those games that have the songs that I know that I can sing along with, but like using it as a showcase for people who want to get their band out there.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this.
Interesting.
And this is something I'm gonna touch back on my discussion for that, because I feel like after we talked about it, I feel like me saying this, some people are like, "Oh, John's backpedaling." I'm not. I'm playing devil's advocate because there are, in my mind, a lot of red flags go up with what they're talking about, because there's a lot of stuff that is kind of murky waters when it comes to rights and licensing and all of that stuff. And there's a lot of, and I brought up some of it.
Yeah.
The fact that they're trying to do this, that's fine. As long as no one gets screwed over, great. If it works, fine. I'm happy for everybody involved.
Yeah.
But I'm apprehensive because I've seen instances of stuff like that happen and it go the wrong way.
Yes.
And I've seen more instances of it happen and it go the wrong way than it go the way that they want it to go, the right way.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those things that I'm like, Ubisoft's a big company.
Yeah.
All they care about is their money. Yeah, they do care about the vision or whatever, but
I mean, yeah, we got, the first part of this podcast was basically like, fuck EA, fuck Activision, gotta fuck Ubisoft, fuck everybody, fuck them all, fuck video games,
But, but if people want to do it, my comments were more of a, hey, if this is something that you're thinking about doing and you're going to go on there,
be careful.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Don't just put up whatever it is. Don't just put your heart and soul into it and then be like, here, and then and then get devastated when either your thing doesn't get picked or you somehow get screwed over because you have to share money with somebody else because someone else did a remix of your thing, but different.
Read the contract.
Yeah.
Make sure that you understand what it is that you're signing when it comes to rights and whatnot when you put something up.
Because Ubisoft is not looking into your well-being. They're looking into their well-being. And they're looking into they're going to make sure that their ass is covered with whatever gets put in their game.
Right.
And they don't give fuck all about you. They may be play nice and be like, let's, we're going to try to make sure that you're given the correct payment and that, that we're not violating any laws and that things like that. But their ultimate goal is the company first.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, that again, that's kind of where a lot of my comments were coming from. Now, if it ends up being a cool thing and great, that's great. I applaud them for it. But it's just too many red flags for me.
No, yeah, I understand. It's mostly just fucking be careful. Be real careful. Remember that this isn't your friend, But I think that that is always excellent advice for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And now for the thing that Gregory doesn't like about. Now for my turn. During the Division 2, Jeff was wondering if such an event in both the divisions where society collapses and people form groups to defend one another and gangs form to rule a city. As someone that went through Hurricane Katrina in 2005, these events are not only plausible but happen. Police fled the city after the storm, including some joining the looting and taking over a floor of a hotel and kicking people out of their rooms. I couldn't find it, but there was an earthquake that caused the government of one country to collapse. I think it might have been the 1972 Nicaraguan earthquake. And yes, while New Orleans did eventually return to order a month after the storm, if wind and rain and water caused the police department to collapse, what do you think a virus will do? And I will answer that. I think we'll kill people. And I think that afterwards there will be civil unrest. But then after that, then society will reform. Yeah. I don't understand the problem that I'm having with the Division is everywhere fucked? Is everywhere fucked? Is the entire country fucked? And even if it is, again, the virus is making it. I understand what you're saying about human nature, Gregory, but I'm past the point of believing in the worst of humanity all the time. I am a bit more of an optimist when it comes to that. You literally have to build a fort against the roving gangs with machine guns and heavy body armor.
One thing I will say, and this is actually something that I thought about a little while back, is that the idea of what they presented in the Division,
yes,
is that a virus broke out in New York or Manhattan or wherever the fuck that the first game was taking place.
Yep.
But that it was quarantine.
Right.
And
but then it wasn't.
But that it was only there, and that they were keeping it all there, and
sure.
it has not got out. Now the two is it did get out.
Right.
Now they haven't been very specific on whether it got out over the entirety of the United States or over the world, or if it's just in Washington now for some reason and only Washington, or what exactly is happening. But I feel like the thing where you and I are a little bit weary on this is that they haven't told us enough about the it's fine if the game only takes place in Washington D.C., but a game like, for example, The Last of Us,
right?
They've told us the world is fucked,
right?
And we're trying to pick up the pieces, and that's why things are the way they are. Like they go out of their way to tell us that the world is fucked. Things like this is not like and I actually wanted to compare. The thing I thought about was like there's a TV show called Jericho. I don't know if you ever saw this.
Nope.
Really cool show. 2 seasons. Didn't get the proper ending that it deserved. Probably should have gone for one more season and then been done.
Okay.
But it was essentially that 13 nukes were set off in like all the major cities in the U.S.
Okay.
And like power outages, like no one knew what was going on. No one knew if another country did it or what. And the entire thing takes place in this one small town.
Yeah.
That a nuke goes off, not in the town, but like the nuke goes off and like they lose power and all sorts of stuff, and they don't know what's going on, and there's like rumors and it's them trying to survive as a town while all this crazy shit is going on, and while there is no law, there's no government coming in going, hey, we're gonna fix everything, don't worry, because there's no communication, phones are down,
sure,
just the worst case scenario has happened, and it's them trying to keep some sort of normalcy while at the same time trying to figure out what the fuck happened and trying to figure out what's real, what's not. Stuff doesn't work. Some stuff does. Cars do work. Cars don't work. Right. And like that situation, they tell you, hey, 13 nuclear warheads were bombed,
right.
Went off in the United States, and the United States is fucked.
Right.
Like there's no communication anywhere in the United States because it's kind of fucked right now. But even then, like you brought up the fact that in this it's like people are just like there's nomads and crazy people like shooting people, and like even in this show, while some of that stuff maybe was happening like in the more like wooded or backwater areas, right. This town stayed relatively normal.
Well, I think about it
it's more believable.
Yeah, the problem that I'm having is that the stuff that you're talking about with natural disasters also creates a very physical impediment, right? In Katrina, there was flooding, right? You couldn't get around, right? There was real serious issues with rushing water, inability to get access to food and water and stuff. The main issue, and I think that I haven't looked in the comments because I think I said the exact same thing when we talked about E3. Okay. In my mind, one of two things has happened in the Division, right? Either you have a virus that killed off a bunch of people, and now that virus is gone, right? Or you have a virus that killed off a bunch of people, and the virus is still around and killing people constantly, okay? If we're talking about scenario B, which I don't think we are, then, like, the whole thing is fucked because nobody in the Division, we're running up and punching people in the street, getting blood and shooting people in the face, right? And nobody's, like, quarantining us whenever time we come back to like where the survivors are. So I don't think it's option B. I think it's option A. A virus came through and killed a bunch of people, and we're left with a no law, no order situation, right? The problem with that is that there's no reason to have roving nomad bandit gangs, right? If say 40% of the population of Manhattan died, right, but the virus isn't still active, then okay, you've got quarantine. Nobody's starving. There should be food in supermarkets, or at least the government can send in airdrops. Now, I guess if the government's completely destroyed because this virus is everywhere, but even then I don't understand. Like, let's say the virus goes across the entire United States and wipes out, say, 40% of the people in the United States. I just don't know that the instantaneous thing to do is become a Fallout Raider. Like, yeah.
I feel like, again, my point is that I feel like our issue that we can't get past is like they're not giving us enough information to make this plausible.
Yeah,
they're giving us even in the context of the game itself.
Right,
they're giving us so little information that it's just preposterous.
I have over the years come to a personal philosophical conclusion: human beings tend towards order in groups. We do not tend towards violence. Well, okay, we do tend towards violence, but we recognize that it's safer as to be part of a group and to maintain and to restrict your violent urge towards doing whatever the fuck you want to, because the group will kick you out, right?
Yeah.
There's safety in numbers. and you can't be a part of the group if you're just a fucking rapey murder lunatic, right? The group will kick you out. Their numbers will be stronger than you. You will get kicked out of the group. Yeah. You go find a bunch of other rapey murder people and try to come back. Generally speaking, the ratio of rapey murder people to non-rapey murder people heavily favors the non-rapey murder side, which is why we have society, cars, houses, internets, and fucking vibrators and ramen, right? Like, that's why we have everything, is because people tend to clump together, and the most violent parts of us, you either suppress that or we kick you out. We intern you in jail or just get the fuck out of here. I don't want to, you're not friends with rapey murder people in general, because that's dangerous and we like safety. So the idea that society, I am not a fan of the whole societal collapse thing, because yes, while Katrina happened and there was a lot of bullshit, there are also a lot of people that were that was a bad situation. I watched that shit unfold. There are also people who were going out in their boats trying to get people off of house rooftops, right? There's helicopters coming in to try to airlift people. I personally went and volunteered for a weekend down in the Austin Convention Center with the Red Cross to hand out medicine and food and water to people that were basically in the Austin Convention Center, like who came from Katrina, and we were basically had them here until they could find family or relocate or whatnot, right? People tend to gravitate towards doing a good thing. And so the idea that, like, the problem is that if you have a rapey murder weirdo, that's one thing. But like in that trailer, there was that whole part where there was like a guy in like fucking 600 pounds of body armor with like a chain gun trying to kill Division people, because I don't really know, ? Right? But it's like, that's a level of weird aggression that I don't understand entirely.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Gotta have video game bosses, Jeff.
Yes. Well, it's funny because when I looked at Anthem, I was also reminded of The Division, right? Because it's a third-person game. All the little numbers coming up off of the things that you were shooting.
Yeah.
But I was like, ooh, but it's got monsters, which are cooler to fight than when you have to shoot a person 70 times and then throw an EMP grenade and 4 rocket launchers in their face before they die. So, in all honesty, Gregory, I understand that idea. I think, though, that it's much easier. I think we're in a feedback loop, quite frankly, where in order to have a good fictional story, it is easier if people are monsters at heart, and that they will, when society collapses, they will become very violent and not form back into a society.
Yeah.
Any kind of society, even a bad rudimentary to society.
Yeah.
And that the idea that that's a thing is more dramatic for us to write in TV shows and movies. And then people go and they watch TV shows and movies and they think, oh, that's what people are like. And it's a weird feedback loop where people are like, oh, well, everybody's just rapey murderer at heart, even though the evidence around us for hundreds of years, even the bad shit that goes on in today's day and age, is a step up, a big step up from what we see in The Division 2 and in previous years. So anyway, that's my whole thing. And then because we've been answering these, he closed out and says, love the work, love the show. Patron Gregory. It said, P.S. I can't wait to hear your reaction of you and Amanda when you get to the turning point in Detroit Become Human, which we haven't gotten to yet. Or maybe we...
Yeah, hurry that up.
It's been the best David Cage game I've ever played so far.
I've actually heard that. Like, there was a part, and I'm going to say that... I'm going to say this about David Cage games. I do feel like they've been getting better.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with the last one, Beyond Two Souls, was I don't feel like there was an actual story.
I thought there were 2 stories, and one was bad and one was good.
Well, I felt like there was literally, I'm going to tell the story of this person's life.
Right.
But there was not an actual story.
There was.
There was, but there wasn't, kind of thing. Like, it wasn't.
See, I thought that the side of, like, the little girl has a ghost friend, and how does that affect her life growing up, and what is it? How hard is it to live with this weird force that looks like he is familiar to you but scares other people?
Yeah,
that's an interesting story.
Yeah,
the government is trying to create a ghost reactor to make ghost soldiers or poltergeist augmented super soldier. Ellen Page, I'm like, no, that's stupid. That's really dumb.
Yeah.
Like, not that part.
But I'm just saying, like, I feel like outside of that concept of this person and let's see how it affects their life, I feel like that's not that is a story.
Right.
There is a story there.
Yes.
But I don't feel that story was in the game. Like,
I thought
it's like if you look at the other
birthday
game,
party and the date and stuff like that.
There were moments, and that's the thing. The game was just a series of moments.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't an overarching story that connected those moments together coherently, which is what I think the government thing was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. Heavy Rain, I haven't played Beyond Two Souls or the Detroit Become Human yet.
Yeah.
Because I want to borrow it after you and Amanda are done with it.
Sure.
But
is that why we need to hurry up?
yeah. That's why I'm like, you need to hurry the fuck up. But Heavy Rain is probably the better of his games, in my opinion,
I agree.
because there's an actual focal point to everything. Like, there's a reason these characters are. There is a central villain. I feel that game falls apart towards the end, as do all of David Cage's games, because he makes some really fucking stupid storytelling decisions.
Yeah.
But I do, like I said, I feel like Heavy Rain is better than Indigo Prophecy. Beyond Two Souls could have been better than Heavy Rain, but the writing got in the I feel like he didn't know what story he wanted to tell. Yeah. I feel that's the problem with Beyond Two Souls.
There were individual part of Beyond Two Souls that I feel like
there were
better
really
than Heavy
interesting
Rain.
ideas.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a story that he himself wanted to tell. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Detroit, from what I've seen about it, I haven't been watching y'all play because I want to go in blind when I play it. But everything I've seen about it, it feels like he has a story he wants to tell from a basic idea that he had from that initial demo thing, that video, like
Kara
video, that he went, I know a story that I want to tell from this. Since people really seem to like it,
What I actually find really interesting about it, though, is I listened to...
But I've heard from a few people that it's probably the best game they've made.
I listened to Watch Out for Fireballs, which is the Dark Souls guys that used to do... And they got done... last month was a real barn burner for me and them, because they played... they play like 3 games, and then they have one episode that's just viewer feedback, and they played... A Way Out, Magica, and EDF 4.1, and they fucking hated all 3 of those games.
Oh wow!
I mean, Magica maybe a little bit less, even though they were just like, look at all these early 2000s meme humor examples. Oh, that's stupid. And I was like, I like all those games. And then when they were closing out in their viewer wrap-up episode, they were like, yeah, and then those guys, they fucking hate David Cage with a passion. And they're just like, yeah, and then there's that Detroit game. Like, fucking nobody likes that game. That game is stupid. I mean, we haven't played it yet, but all the word of mouth that I've heard has just been terrible for it. I looked it up on Metacritic, and it's got a 78 critic score and an 8.8 user score. Like, I feel like that's about as good as David Cage is going to get.
Yeah, it's about where I expect a David Cage game to be.
And so far, again, I get the feeling there's going to be something really dumb that happens close to the end, because fucking David Cage can't help himself.
Yeah.
But so far, all the characters have been really good. I've liked the story. There have been a few weird points. And the overall conception of let's create a bunch of robots that look like people and then treat them like horrible slaves, right, has its own kind of like, how did this ever fucking happen in the first place? Like, last week, it just dawned on me, like, white people can get black robots and then treat them like slaves. Like, what? What the fuck? Like, blech. Somebody's doing some bad shit. Ugh, gross. Anyway. Okay, let's zip through a few more of these. This one also has to do with Detroit Become Human. So,
hey,
Ryan says, "Dear Jeff and John, Ryan here with a question for the podcast. Been watching a playthrough of Detroit Become Human and have been enjoying it so far. During the latest video, I started wondering why science fiction video games like Become Human and Deus Ex are set in Detroit. Would it be a storytelling trope because of the city's industrial past in the automotive industry? Do you think it's a cliche or a storytelling trope to set these games in Detroit because of its industrial past as an automotive city in the automotive industry? Could they have just set it in any other city? These are just some thoughts I had regarding the game. Keep making great videos. Proud patron, Ryan."
I actually think that was a purposeful thing for Detroit Become Human, was because of the fact that it was the there's all those factories there that were making cars that don't anymore.
Yeah.
And so those factories are there, and so the idea would be that this new technology that kind of requires a factory, a line, a production line, and Detroit would be the perfect place because it's got factories that are designed just for that.
Right.
Like, if I'm not mistaken, that was like David Cage actually came out and said that was like the reason they decided to set it there. Mm-hmm. I don't know about it, Deus Ex, but
I have a theory.
Okay, go for it.
RoboCop.
Yeah.
RoboCop is about a new glittering city that's built out of the ruins of old Detroit.
Yeah.
And it's a science fiction about
what's
robots.
weird about RoboCop?
What's that?
Parts of that were filmed in Houston.
Oh, yeah, because they're the Houston skyline, right? In the
Yeah.
very beginning when they're chasing Clarence down the road? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing that always bothered me with that movie. It's like, that's Houston, Texas. That's not Detroit.
It's Detroit, John. It's
New Detroit.
They made New Detroit look like what was it? Alpha City, Omega City,
Yeah, something
Metro
like
City,
that.
something
Metro
like that?
City, I think it was. Yeah.
I don't think that's something else, but anyway, possibly RoboCop.
Yeah, RoboCop is a big
science fiction, half man, half machine thing set in Detroit.
Yeah.
And then I think that some of what you're talking about, it also is a fairly realistic location to set from the ruins of the past, a brand new sparkling city. Because, of all the places in the United States, I can almost feel like it's reasonable that you could see some new industry came to Detroit, and then they just kind of tore most of the city down and rebuilt this futuristic metropolis out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how it is there now, but I read a few years ago where it was art collectives are just buying office buildings because you could get an office building for $10,000. And so you just have a bunch of students all kick in a few $100s a piece, and then everybody gets a floor of an office building where they could just set up an art collective and do whatever the fuck they want to. Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and do this one, and then
Is this one also Detroit related?
No. I got one that's in New Orleans. You want to go to that one?
Oh, we can go whatever. I don't.
We'll get to that one after this one. RJ writes in and says, "Hello, Jeff and John. So I was revisiting Diablo 3 recently, and despite how much the game appeals to me in gameplay, atmosphere, etc., I find myself completely turned off with the mouse-based controls. This got me thinking, has there ever been a game that you would otherwise love for every reason, but can't find yourself enjoying because of one small or large mechanic?" And that is from RJ.
I'm almost 90% positive there is. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, but I'm positive that there is something that I would have otherwise loved if not for a mechanic or something like that.
You know what? I'm gonna go real wide on this one. One of the reasons that my choice in fighting games is so small is because I can't really get down the I feel like there's a place in fighting games where your ability to input the things to do a Shoryuken is so automatic, and you can do it every time, that you've now reached a point where it's about when do you do a Shoryuken, not can I do a Shoryuken.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever reached that. I still have problems with, even in Injustice 2, which I really love, I have problems with back forward movements because it's just a little weird. I've always had problems with Street Fighter's inputs, especially I've never been able to do. Zangief has that 360 for the spin pile driver, right? I just can't ever pull it off, and so it's frustrating because
tornado pile driver, I think, or I don't remember. Hurricane or tornado, I can't remember,
because I can't do it. I can't properly make the inputs happen in such a way to pull it off every time. So it just ends up being very frustrating.
Yeah.
On that note, motion controls. I fucking hate motion controls unless it's in VR, because then it's I'm looking at my hands, right?
Yeah, then it makes sense.
But all the bullshit, I'm so glad that we're past that between Kinect and the Wii, where it was I'm going to bowl, but I'm going to actually make the bowling motion with my arm, and I'm just
we're not fully past it, but we're pretty past it.
I don't want to do that.
Because Mario Tennis Aces has the Joy-Con motion controls.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, you can turn those on.
Chris and I had a hell of a time with Mario Aces.
Yeah, I've been wanting to play that game. I don't know why. I don't.
You can take it, man.
I probably will.
You take it.
Yeah, I just, for some reason, I got I think what it was is during their treehouse during E3, I was at work and it was on, and I we were so dead at work that I just had the stream up.
Yeah,
and
you're just watching an hour of Mario Tennis Aces.
And they were just playing Mario Tennis, and I'm like, I really want to play this game.
It's fun.
This looks so fun.
It was fun. Nintendo doesn't make bad games. They make bad games. Okay, so now we're going back to New Orleans. Slep Moriori writes in and says, hello, Jeff and John. Last weekend I went to New Orleans on vacation. I had a lot of fun, but as any native tourist, I got scammed out of some money.
Oh, shit.
Basically, a guy comes up to you and says, I know where you got your boots from, or I like your boots. And then if you stop, proceeds to put what I assume is a shoe shine on your shoes, and then tells you to put your feet on their knees and quickly wipes them off, and then demands $20. And if you say you have no money, points to a nearby ATM. I could have just told him to fuck off, but decided to keep things civil and gave him $10 as a learning experience. My question is, have any of y'all fallen to scams like this while traveling? What were they? And what did you do in that situation? Do you have any advice when traveling to certain cities? You're a loyal patron. Slepmori. I don't know how to say that.
So. Can't say I've ever had anything like that happen to me.
Okay, so when I was younger, I was at a gas station, and a guy walked up to me and was like, hey, man, look, sorry to bother you. My family and I, we got like kicked out of our house, and I'm trying to get like $30 to get a room at the hotel right there. And I'm just wondering, do you have any cash you can spare? It would really help me out. We're just trying to get a room for the night, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, yes, here's $10. I believe your story. Have a nice day. Good luck in your future. And then like 3 days later, the guy walked up to me and did the exact same thing. And I was like, oh, okay. No, I don't have any money anymore. He's literally telling me the exact same thing that he said before. So.
Yeah. Didn't that happen one time when we all, like you, Amanda, and I went to lunch, I think for Amanda's birthday or something at some place, and like some guy walked up and was like, hey, I just got into a car accident, and like blah 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 blah, and we were all like, nah, we don't have any money. And then like he then walked to somebody else and gave a completely different story, and we were within earshot, and we were just all like, what the fuck?
That's probably, I mean, for the most part, I don't give anybody money anymore, and it's not even like a vindictive thing. I don't carry cash anymore, right?
Yeah, no, it's like, don't carry cash.
I don't have any cash. I'm sorry. Like, I'll give people a cigarette. I'll be like, just want a cigarette?
No.
But I don't carry cash with me.
I will say the scariest, not a scam thing, but the scariest thing that ever happened to me is I was driving down like the feeder in Austin, the feeder of 35 and near airport.
Okay.
And I was just like driving, and I was talking to somebody on a speakerphone, so I wasn't really paying attention to my surroundings outside of except for what's in front of me, and I'm at a light.
Right.
And then suddenly I just pounding on my fucking window, and it's a guy with a giant fucking Ozarka water, like, jug, like those that go on like a water thing at a water cooler.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got any change? And I'm like, no, I don't get. He's like, you got change? And he like tries to get in my car. Like, I'm gonna get in the backseat of your car and get the change, because there's fucking change. Don't you lie to me, you son of a bitch. And like started cursing at me. I'm like, light screen, I'm gone, see ya.
Yeah.
It was like I don't play for that.
That reminds me, when I lived in Seattle, I didn't have a car because I wrecked my car, and you can get around with the bus and walking in Seattle. And I lived, I remember one day I went out, and this guy stopped me on the street, and he asked if I had a cigarette, and I was like, yeah, here you go. And he wanted to talk to me, and I was kind of like, oh, I was unemployed at the time, and I didn't have anything to do. And as he talked to me, he started to get very worked up about the government and about what they had done to him, and he was an ex-military guy, and eventually he started kind of like spitting when he was talking, to the point where he had the cigarette in his mouth, and it was literally like destroyed by saliva that was coming out as he got more and more animated. Eventually I was like, holy crap, that's terrible. And he didn't really show any signs of stopping, and I was like, I'm very sorry, I have to catch the bus. Here's another cigarette. It looks like that one may have gotten messed up. Good luck. Bye. And I was kind of afraid that he was going to start following me and continuing to yell about the government. But
yeah, I've had a couple scary instances with that type of thing. Though I did see one. I don't know if it was a scam per se, but I did see one thing that I always thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
In Houston, there was a guy at a stop that it was him. He was wearing army fatigues. He had his dog with him, and he had a sign that said, homeless veteran. Anything helps. Please help me feed my dog, if anything.
Right.
And I'd seen the guy there like that early that morning. I didn't give anything because, again, don't have cash.
Right.
Don't carry anything, so I can't really give anybody anything like that. But then, like, I had to go back that way on my lunch break at work, and I go by, and it's a different guy, same dog, same clothes.
What?
And when I say different guy, I'm not talking like, oh, this guy. Like I thought it was a different guy. The first guy was white.
Yeah.
The second guy was black. Same sign, same army fatigues, everything, and I'm just like, they are ripping people off.
Oh, man. And that's our show. We'll end on the scary homeless people. No, mail@racesite.com is the email address. Please send us some questions so that we can answer them. And with that, we are... I don't have a sign-off. I need a sign-off. We're out of here. Well, that's all she wrote.
As always, rage on. I don't know.
Smell you later.
Alligator.
Yeah, that'll work.